Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are now live. It is Sunday morning, and we're going to have a little Sundays with Sapien here. Uh, I literally just came up with that as I was typing in the starting up the link, so let's not get married to that. But I thought it was an interesting little bit of alliteration going on. Let's see who we have in the room. We got a bit of an echo going on here. All right, thanks. Let's see what's going on. She's using a different mic this morning. Let's see. Massive echo, I'm being told. So let's check the settings. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it should be fine. I'm not seeing a reason for the echo. Let's switch over to the mic. Check your settings. And Jesse's saying he doesn't have any echo. Looks like everybody in the room, in the chat room, tell me what you're hearing. You getting much feedback? Any loop going on? Yeah, I think that's just you, Ann. Everybody in the room seems to be good. All right, cool, good, because that would suck. Let's see. Let's cancel this here. Excellent. I see Jesse's in the room. What's up? I thought I saw Team Skeptic a second ago. Conspiracy Cats. Hey, what's up? We should get you in the room. We should get Conspiracy Cats in the room. Maybe somebody can get. At some point, we'll get some links out to people so they can come in the room. Because I don't really have a plan today. I just want to try to be up here on a regular basis. Let's see. Let me see if I can first get a little bit out there, a little bit of business up front. Let's see, share this here. All right, you guys should be looking at this right now. So first off, just wanted to, you probably noticed this when you first got on, that the super chats are going to an organization known as Soja Community. I don't know if you've noticed in the past, my wearing and I'm wearing it right now. You'll see when I get back on camera. I have my hoodie it says Soja on it. Soja Community is the nonprofit behind the martial arts studio that I both study and work at. We do a lot of outside work in terms of self-defense classes for kids, adults, and seniors. We also do a lot of scholarships for people who cannot afford, especially young people who cannot afford the extracurricular activities of going to a martial arts class or things like that. Oftentimes, all these things that enhance people's lives are kind of restricted to people who actually have the funds. I mean, there are a lot of things that we do that are really good for us personally, and especially for kids in terms of enrichment. But unless you have the funds, you really don't get to take advantage of those things. And so one thing that we've all found at Soja is that martial arts self-defense itself is one of those benefits that really tends to just go to those who can afford the membership fees for gyms and studios. Those things cost a lot of money. So what we do through Soja Community is we take in donations and things and use those to apply towards scholarships and to free school programs to pass our knowledge and add this type of lifestyle enhancement to people who can't afford it. So this is an organization I've been involved with for the last 6 or 7 years, maybe it was 6 years, yeah, and it's just had its 11th anniversary last night. Had a little get together for them, and I was happy to see that when I started up the super chat for good, it actually has Soja as a possible recipient. So any super chat you donate today will be going toward Soja community, which will be given mostly that it goes towards scholarships to those who can't afford to do things like take self-defense classes and things like that. So that is what is going on there. One other thing that I would like to announce is that as of this morning, I'm launching a Patreon page, which is even my moderators are just now learning about it. Patreon.com/GreaterSapien, and you get there's 3 membership tiers there. I will be doing additional content there for all my fans. Now there are certain people that I'm going to see what I can do about getting them accounts without having to pay, because they've been doing a lot of work for me on the side, and I don't necessarily want people who've been contributing on the back end of my my production to have to pay to be involved in the Patreon. So we'll figure something out for them. But my intent is, one, since I tend to not do super fast turnaround videos, that you'll have access to videos at at least 24 hours in advance of them going out on YouTube. So you'll get an early look, and if possible, you can give some critique before it actually goes out, which will be really helpful if I make any mistakes. Also, I'm going to be doing Patreon specific content, things that not necessarily for the public. I know I decided I wanted to keep a more civil tone for things, so you'll probably get more personal, more directly criticizing types of videos where I speak more openly and maybe less structured about things. Access to pre-production stuff, things that I have going on but aren't quite ready for public consumption. The builds that I may come up with, because sometimes I have to put some things together just to get the videos right. So you'll get access to those things well before they go out, and I'll be doing at least once a week, weekly vlog directly for Patreon. That'll be either a response to other videos, response to Patreon questions, or anything that just comes off the top of my head. So you'll get unique content on Patreon compared to YouTube. And also, I'll be doing more of my own personal projects. As an artist, I'm trying to get back to not just doing things for money, doing some of the corporate art that I've been doing for a while. So I'll be doing some of my own personal creations, and you'll get to see the progress on those things there. So that's what's going to be going on with that Patreon account, which is launched today. And for example, I'm editing a video right now. I will put it up on Patreon tonight, but it probably will not go out on YouTube for another day or two. It's definitely not going up today. Yeah, it's not going up for at least another 24 to 48 hours, but it will go on Patreon later tonight. So that is that there. Let's see what else is going on in the room. Let me say hey to people that I didn't get to see. I thought I saw somebody flash up there. Was Team Skeptic here? I'm pretty sure I thought I saw Team Skeptic a while back. All right. Let's see. There's some questions in my Discord here. Yeah. Hold on a second. Kevin Neely, hey, what's up? Lord Muad'Dib. Hold on. Muad'Dib. There we go. Strike, hey, what's up? Heat Shield. Who else is in the room? Now, there's some questions that were already in my questions thing here, so I'm going to respond to them real quick. Let's see. Who someone asked, who would win? Was it Skycha? Who would win? Nishiwaki Michiko or Cynthia Rothrock? Mm, I was never a huge Cynthia Rothrock fan. I mean, she was good. I'm not going to say that, but I think the era she came from, I wasn't a fan of her choreography as much as Michiko's. So I would go there. Hey, Team Skeptic, what's up? Good morning. At somebody, let's see. Anon has a link to the room, so when we, if I, at some point, we can get you a link so that you can pop in and say hey. Let's see who else is questions. Sapphire Sapien, hey, what's up? Oh, I should have used that as a tier for my Patreon. Sapphire Sapien. Maybe I'll add that one in. Let's see. Someone asked, did I hear about Nathan beat your kids for flat earth? Oakley failing to convert meters to kilometers. No, I did not. I didn't see that one. No, I did see, I don't watch his stream that often. I did see one where he didn't seem to understand that fluid ounces was a unit of volume and not a, and he was comparing I can't remember what the topic was, but he was arguing about fluid ounces as being mass. It was a can. It was about cans and their floating ability, and he was arguing about fluid ounces being a unit of mass. And it was just out, and I just sat there and was like, he was adamant that these things were absolute same mass because they were both like 10.5 fluid ounces. So these objects had to be the same mass because they were both like the same fluid ounces. And so he didn't quite get the difference between mass and volume. So I did notice that. So yeah, he got issues. I thought that was hilarious though, because he was adamant. He was holding the line, and with the people he was arguing against, and they were other flat earthers, so they didn't call him on it because I don't think they noticed it. Let's see. Given the angle of attack versus angle of refraction, the square of the hypotenuse versus the inverse square law, who do I think would win? Ghost Dog, Ghostface Killer, or just who is this? Sky's creature. Who do I think would win? Ghost Dog, Ghostface Killer, or just Ghost Dog? Ghost Dog was he was too slick, so I go with Ghost Dog on that one. Let's see who else is in there. Yes, you can post questions here. Say, who's is it going back to older content arguments or something new in my sites or undecided? I've been wondering who is next since he's said he's backing off of the flat earth discourse. Well, I'm not backing off of talking about flat earth. What I'm doing is I'm trying to separate the personalities. This is Ace Trainer was asking. I've been wondering who is next since he's said he's backing off of the flat earth discourse. Is he going back to older content arguments, or is this something new in my sites or undecided? I'm not backing off of flat earth content. What I'm trying to do is separate the people from the arguments. So for what started happening there is on the flat earth side, they, I would criticize something they did, and so they would come back and criticize my criticism and criticize me, and so then I would come back and I would criticize them, and what they'd say, and it became more and more personal, at least in terms of the discussion. Not even though I didn't seriously did not care, but the direction of the arguments became much and more personally directed. So what I'm looking to do is still discuss the things that they're talking about, but just talk about the things they said, as opposed to the type of person they are when they say it. Yeah. So I may say somebody is ignorant of the facts, which is still, just stating that they don't know something, as opposed to someone is an idiot, and things like that. Except for certain people. Let's see. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, oh, you just now noticed? Yeah. Yeah, you'll notice it on several past ones. So if you can direct questions toward the moderators, either Anon or, let's see, is Young Earth Skeptic in the room? Is Mandelbrot Set in the room? If you can do it, direct questions to them. They have a side channel. They'll be sending things to me just in case, as I'm answering and trying to make eye contact with the camera, if questions are zipping by. Oh, actually, let me put this back on slow mode. I'm going to initiate slow mode now. I had it off of slow mode while you guys were just chatting amongst yourselves, but I'm going to put the brakes on this thing here. Let's make it 30 seconds. All right. Slow mode that a little bit. Slow things down just a little bit, guys. 30 seconds on that. There. Did somebody just pop in the room? No, I think that's someone contacting me in there. All right, excellent. Good, slow that down. So communicate with Mandelbrot, Young Earth, or Anon, and they will queue them up for me. Anon is really on that. That's the best place to go. Young Earth will probably actually answer your questions a little bit, and so and interact with you. And so, but Anon is playing more doorway here, so direct your questions there in case just to cover for the fact that I most likely will not see them. Someone named Darth Killer says, what's my stance for gravity accepting flat earthers compared to the more actually, I don't know. I've never actually met a gravity accepting flat earther. Yeah, I would be curious as to what their arguments are for the way gravity works, if they're gravity accepting flat earthers. There must be some type of mass. There must be some type of mass, like way down below the Earth's surface, so that everything would seem to point down, as opposed to start pointing toward the center as you got toward the edges. Yeah, I don't know that person. Sci Strike. Woohoo! Thank you very much, Sci Strike. Your super chat is appreciated. All super chats are going to Soja community, the martial arts studio and self-defense program that I work with, and so your donation is greatly appreciated. It does not go to me. I actually donate a lot of my time as well. I allow myself to get paid in shirts. It's like I'll get, working there, I tend to, go through a lot of clothes because you're hitting the ground, and we work on concrete. So you hit the ground a lot, you get thrown a lot, you sweat through your stuff, and so my stuff gets threadbare. So I tend to just get paid in shirts or jacket. So your donation to Soja will not be going to me. It will be going toward helping young people in the program. My section here. Let's see, Maverick. Oh, let me get live chat. Okay, so we have a question from Maverick Doe. Patrick was really convinced that the atmosphere. Oh, this would be Patrick Shank. Acted like a lens. Is there an experiment that can show from inside a lens? It's kind of difficult because how do you get within a lens? And the problem with Patrick Shank's Sweet Heathen, thank you very much for your donation. The fact that you gave anything is great. I wish we could all give more. I wish these type of things weren't necessary, but thank you very much. And yes, I know that the donations for the Super Chat for Good only works for folks in the United States and Canada. So our friends in Europe they're off the hook. But I do have a Patreon account that you can go in that way. That'd be a separate thing altogether. So Patrick Shank thinking that that the atmosphere acts like a lens. Yeah, the problem is that he people take things too literally when they say it acts like a lens. Thus, it is a lens. Thus, it's just like this lens, as opposed to what lensing is and does. So yes, it acts like a lens. It acts like a mirror. It acts like a wall when it comes to sound traveling through it. Sometimes it can bounce things right off of it. But so this whole idea that it acts like a lens, which means I can use glasses as an example, is taking is not understanding the relationship between the object, the medium, and the viewer. It's just not. And yeah, it's really hard to explain to someone like him who doesn't seem to be able to separate those things out. Let's see. What do I think is the single best proof of a globe? For example, flat earthers can't have a distortion-free map. Well, that's the fact that globe deniers or flat earthers cannot have a distortion-free map is not proof of a globe. That's evidence against the flat Earth. And let's make sure we're communicating correctly. And that's one thing I do try to differentiate. That's why I'm trying my best to refer to them as globe deniers, because that's what they do. They work on trying to deny the globe more than they work on trying to support the flat Earth. So they're not flat Earth supporters. They are globe deniers. So let's see, what was the question? So proof of the globe. And I just saw that Team Skeptic put celestial sphere. The problem with the celestial sphere is that it still allows them to say that Earth is a certain way, and then the celestial sphere is something that moves. The fact that let's just be blunt, we have photos of the Earth from space. I'll stop. We have photos of the Earth from space. That's what we have. They can always say that they're fake and all sorts of things like that, but that's one thing we do ultimately have. We have the fact that you can set up a telescope, or even just some type of directional system that is what's the word for it? Like an equatorial mount that will run along the line of the ecliptic or the equator perfectly, but it would not work. But see, that's again, when you start to say things like, but would not work on a flat Earth, then you're talking against a flat Earth as opposed to supporting the globe. Got another super chat from Brainery. Thank you very much. Your donation is appreciated. Let's see. But the problem is with any one thing is that there are so many things. There are so many things that, and actually, all but everything it's a confluence of evidence that all point to the same thing. There are some things that can go both ways. Like, for example, I would say a celestial sphere could be used to argue for on both sides. if they choose to. But when you add up all the things, there are some things that will work for both, and there are things that work on a globe. There's nothing that works on just like flat Earth and nothing but a flat Earth, and this is the only thing that can explain it. There's nothing out there that will do that. But there are some things that will work for both if they're vague enough and not non-specific enough. But the confluence of things, the sum total of all things, when added together, not as separate pieces, they all point to the same thing. And so that's the fact of things. Is there any globe deniers I would most like to converse with? One, if I'm going to have a serious conversation with any globe denier, it has to be in person. I'm generally not interested in having kind of phone conversations, online conversations with globe deniers, because they aren't good at actually communicating, and they use the separation between you and them as a cudgel to have their type of conversation. But I would love to just chat, sit down and have a meal with D Marble, and we could just talk. Even somebody like Nathan Oakley, I could have a talk with in person, because he would have to act like a normal freaking human being if we were in person. Because if anything, I'm really interested in how people's minds work, and so that's something I can discern more if I'm looking them straight in the eye. I was having a nice conversation with someone last night who I do not agree with on most things. We were talking about subjects we agree on, but as the evening got on, he drifted more and more into things that I think are really fringy, and so I just let him talk, because I just wanted to see where he was going. I didn't want to argue with him, because then he would change his way of communicating about it. But I just let him talk, and so when he started talking about paranormal things and telekinesis and stuff, I just let him go, and it just allowed me to see more about what he was saying. But the second I started, contradicting him, he would have shut down, and his defensive mechanisms would have gone up. So, yeah, I would. A number of people. What's the guy? Flat Out Hero. I would. There's nobody I wouldn't talk to in person, but I would really love to see how certain people's minds work. If I talked to him in person, like Mr. Marvel, and even like Vegan Warrior. It'd be very interesting. Let's see. I'm seeing a lot of things fly by here. Who else is in the room? Dun, dun, dun. All right, cool. So let's see. I know I got some separate ones from other people. Oh, what's going on? Here's another. Mentions. No. Let's go back to that. Okay, so one thing here. Let me share my screen. Did come prepared for a certain amount. All right, here. Let's see. We have someone named A. Watt talked about someone completing Flat Earth Heroes flight chart challenge by printing up paper flight charts, gluing them together, and surprise made a sphere. I saw that this morning. As you see, it wasn't that long ago. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I find that very interesting. I know you guys have been following the whole Flat Out Hero, Wolfie, and Flat Out Hero, everybody else, back and forth that have been happening. I don't know about you, but I saw what Flat Out Hero was doing from the start. He is somebody who is trying to make a name for himself. Obviously, when he first started I think with his first videos were, coming out directly, challenging people. He came at me hard early on with some really kind of lame, sitting in a dark room, trying to look like some type of, I don't know, weird mafia person with his shades on, challenging, name calling, and things like that, and trying to bait me into having a back and forth with him. And it was really obvious that he was just trying to get attention. And so I just kind of left him to the side. And thank you, Jason. So I just kind of I saw him for what he was and kind of shoved him to the side. And so he continued to do that with other people. And so then I guess he saw the success of the $10,000 challenge and things like that in terms of getting people some press. So he decided to do his $100,000 challenge to try to get himself some press and some subs, which I find hilarious. And what I find really hilarious, well, one, he's saying he's got this $100,000, he's going to give it out, but right off the bat, it's like, well, and if you get it, I'll have to give it to you in $1,000 payments over time. It's like, oh, okay, so you don't have $1,000, $100,000. You have a job or something, and you're going to slowly dole it out. That was hilarious. But Wolfie, of course, knocked that one out of the park really quickly, and so did many other people. And so then he moved to goalposts, and then Wolfie, bodied him again. And now he's claiming Wolfie has to fly this now to prove that it's true. And the fact is, he had no intention of paying that money. He just wants to get the back and forth so he can get the traffic. And he's gotten the most traffic that he's ever gotten from this. He's gotten, I think, almost 10,000 views on one of his videos now. But his subs haven't gone up. He's gotten very few subs from it. He's getting a little bump in views, but his subs haven't gone up, so no one's really caring about what he says. And Wolfie's has. I think he's gone up to another 2,000 or so subs in the last few weeks, just from the traffic that has been driven toward him because of this silly stunt that Flat Earth Hero has come up with. So it's awesome that he was doing this stunt in order to get himself some subs and some press and views. But people like Wolfie he's gotten 50,000 views on one of his videos, while Flat Earth Hero has gotten at most 10,000. So he's actually feeding more people toward Wolfie, which is awesome, because he puts out much better content than most people out there, and he's on point. So thank you very much, Flat Out Hero, for being such a failure. Let's see, any others in the room that have questions before I move on? Let's see. Stop screen sharing. Hey. Question from JPQ. Oh, sorry, real quick. Before that, so if there was a philosopher, was that edited? Is that what it said before? I thought it said flurfer. Was it meant to be philosopher, or was that a typo? Okay. It's a philosopher of any time that I could speak to. Who would that? Philosophers, I find philosophy a little too abstract for me. I mean, not for me to enjoy those conversations. I like, how things actually are. It tends to be a little too pedantic for me. People, you get into abstract on how, well, if you say this, then you must think this, as opposed to what people actually do and think and are in the real life. So I tend to not be a fan of philosophers in general. But maybe some old school mathematicians, like Newton would have been great. Do you think globe denying followers are driven by genuine misunderstanding, or is it more of an ego issue? I think it's a combination. Now, I know there are some flat earthers out there, excuse me, globe deniers out there, who are going to get really mad at me. And I will see it in the comments after this. How dare I generalize what flat earthers think? You're talking about flat earthers as if we all have the same position and you don't know us and you don't get to talk about us that way. Well, guess what? I get to have my opinion and I get to talk about you any way I wish. So I think it is a combination of genuine misunderstanding and their ego. Most people, and I'm not going to say that I'm an exception to this. Most people hold their own intellect in far too high esteem. They just think far too much of themselves and who they are and what they know. And it takes a lot of work to separate yourself, from your ego. It takes a lot of work. I have the luxury of a lot of years under my belt, so I've been able to work on that for a while. But I don't know if you noticed, but my voice is getting a little creaky. California is burning. I have this lighting is this way because of the fact that we have smoke going through everything. So the fact that I'm talking so much, I think it's starting to get to my voice a little bit. So I'm going to take a quick little break there. Okay. And so I don't think and you see it a lot of times when it comes to globe denying people. They say, I don't see how this can be. That doesn't make sense to me. Thus, it has to be wrong. Sorry, I thought someone was coming in the room. Thus, it has to be wrong. There's this ego part that says, since I don't understand something, it has to be incorrect. As opposed to, it's possible that other people know more than me, and maybe I should look into it more and find out. But since I don't understand it, it has to be false. So that's where the ego part comes in, and it kind of boosts their misunderstanding. And they have confidence in their self being right, and so they are very loath to prove themselves wrong. So they start to filter things out to make themselves right. And then there's the whole, if they're religious based, or a lot of them have kind of rebellious issues, like they want to be the underdog and they need to fight against something. There's a mixture of things, but they all kind of reinforce each other. Let's see. Someone's asking, it might just be Anne. Please explain why it's not okay to say retard. Some think it's acceptable because it means held back. Please explain that it's hate speech. I don't know if it actually rises to the level of hate speech, like legally or whatever, but I find it deplorable speech. Because most people, they say, well, it just means held back, but most people aren't using it for that reason. I have no problem with the word, the verb, the use of the word retard in the proper context of something, a development being retarded, like something arrests that development. You can use it that way. But to call someone a retard is to denigrate them as a human being on a level that's insulting to people that actually have you're retiting your hair, that actually people have genuine intellectual disabilities, and it's just loathsome. It just and as a person who grew up at a time where that was kind of irregular, actually it happened throughout my lifetime. There was a time when I was younger, and you didn't talk about it, but someone with disabilities was referred to as being retarded, just because Johnny's in that class, he needs a little extra help because he's a little retarded, and that's just how it was talked about. But you didn't call, it wasn't used as an insult to anyone. It was just a description of a person who actually, that was just the word that was used then. And then sometime um, after that, sometime in the 90s, it started becoming directed toward people. And I think it's when people stopped referring to people with mental disabilities as being retarded, when they started, using different language, it morphed over into the public as insults to, kind of a general insult of people's that you just don't like. That person's, that person's retarded. That person's retarded, and then it became, just like retard. And I've kind of seen it morph over time. And as it's morphed, it's just become more and more deplorable over time. Now, I honestly, I have to say there was a time that I had an automatic filter on the word uh, retarded, retard, and all the kind of variations of it on my comments. And so they all got filtered out. And the problem with that was that 60% of the comments were using those words, was using that word. And so my spam filter was just filled with hundreds of comments every day, just purely because people may have been, or, using, versions of that word. And so I was having to clear out all those on a regular basis. And it was just so time consuming that after a while, I just said, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow people to use it, but I am in no way going to respond to people who do. And depends on if you use it in a particularly egregious way, you will get blocked because you're telling me that you're not willing to have a genuine conversation. If you come at me with saying that I'm retarded or something, you'll never hear from me. I just, you've shown that you're not worthy of a conversation. But people who support me, people who are on my side in this, I suggest you not use that word. It does not support your cause. It does not support your position. It does not make you look better than the person you're talking about. It shows that you're willing to dehumanize someone for the purpose of your argument. So I would ask you to not use it. I'm not going to make you. I'm not going to shut everything down, but don't help that way, because it doesn't help. Most of the name calling doesn't help. It might make you feel better in the short term, but most of it doesn't help. So do better than they are. As best you can. Do better than them. That's what I'm trying to do. Let's see what else is going on. It was back and forth, back and forth. Let's see. I had a question. J.O. Sonnen asked two questions. Asked what my IQ was, and I don't know why, but I don't know. I've never had it checked. I don't particularly care. The fact that I function well in society and can have conversations and can absorb information, calculate things, teach and communicate in a clear manner tells enough about my intelligence level. So I'm not. That's never really been my concern. People around me, it's one of those things that a lot more people are interested in than the target. I don't know how many people. I've had people. My mother just last week just asked. He was like, hey, "Do you happen to know what your IQ is?" I bet it's. I'm like, why does it matter? Like, why do people care about those type of things? It's like it's like it's a benchmark that doesn't really seem to matter to me, but matters more to other people. What I think what matters more is And I think it's hilarious that I'm talking about your ability to communicate and I'm stalling while saying it. But your ability to communicate information, to be open-minded, genuinely open-minded, not just openly accepting of things, uh, and process information and communicate information is more important than what your supposed IQ is. So yeah, I don't know, don't care. Yeah. So yes, Miles. Some people want to prove they're better than others. They need to have. They want, and not only do they want to prove they're better than others. Huh? How did Young Blue lose their spanner? Hold on, we'll figure that out. Uh, Not only do they want to prove they're better than others, uh, they want somebody on the outside to affirm that for them, uh, which is kind of sad. Let's see if I can get you a spanner there, Young Blue. No, you should have one. I don't know why you don't. I maybe I can turn you off as a moderator and turn you back on. Let's see if I toggle you there. All right, try going. I turned you off and turned you back on. So Young Blue. So see if that worked. Yeah, but according to the system, you should be solid. So IQ, don't know, don't care. Only time it matters, and even with other people, it's one of those things that only kind of matters if there's an issue. If you want to see if there's a way of helping someone because there's a developmental issue going on, then checking for IQ is helpful as a benchmark. But otherwise, they're doing fine. We're doing fine. And someone said, Jason Humphrey said, here's a question. Why are you ignoring all the facts and experiments that prove Earth isn't a globe? Well, I'm not. Uh, I'm looking at all the facts and all the experiments, as many as I can. And for every experiment that a globe denier makes that proves the Earth isn't a globe, there is a corresponding experiment or several versions of a corresponding experiment that show that it is. The problem is that flat earthers, globe deniers, structure their experiments in ways that give them the results they want. And they have to ignore external factors in order to interpret the results the way they want. So there are no facts that or experiments that prove the Earth isn't a globe. There are facts and there are experiments that correspond with the possibility of the Earth being flat, because the Earth is kind of flat because it's big, so it's kind of flat. But as a whole, it's not quite flat. And when you go over enough distance, you can see that it actually is round. It is spherical, or nearly spherical. So I'm not ignoring facts and experiments that prove the Earth isn't a globe. Globe deniers are limiting their facts and their evidence to things that reaffirm what they want, as opposed to looking at everything. Let's see what else is going on. This is, let's see, this is from I think this is all from Over the Line. I think First Amendment auditors are fighting a good cause. I'm not quite sure what that is, and I think this is a follow-up. This is people who film police, try to get a reaction, check check the police, check, I guess it's check that the police are following the laws, stream it on YouTube. I think those are together. So do I think that First Amendment auditors are fighting a good cause by filming the police, trying to get a reaction, checking the police follow the laws, etc., and streaming it on YouTube? I think trying to get a reaction is a separate thing, because there's a difference between filming the police and trying to get a reaction out of police, or is that trying to get a reaction out of the public by looking at it? I think watching the police is an excellent thing. There are things that have been happening in communities well, across the world, but let's just stay to the United States, because that's my experience. There are things that have been happening in communities in the United States for decades that people that weren't in those communities just thought weren't happening, since it wasn't in their experience. Just in the Black community, the animosity and oppression shown by police has been evident to us for generations. I mean, the system of policing in this country was based in racist policies, and so, but that was something that was restricted to the community. It wasn't really understood by people outside the community, because it wasn't in their experience. It wasn't until like the benchmark time of Rodney King, and then just the advent, the flourishing of everyone having recording devices as a regular basis on them as regular basis, that people outside of those communities started to see the reality of what was going on. So the filming, the recording of police was a great tool of communication for people to understand what was actually going on in these insular communities. And let's just be absolutely honest about it. When you know you're being filmed, you change the way you act, and that's a fact. That's just what happens. Especially if you know what you're doing is not necessarily acceptable by the general public. If you know you're being filmed, you change the way you act, unless you have some type of psychopathic, sociopathic issues. Which is why so often, corrupt police, not that police are corrupt, I'm talking about corrupt police. So often if they have, their body cams on, they get turned off when they know they're going to be doing something that is crossing the line. So I'm all for filming people of authority, but I do think there's an issue when it comes to policing other citizens through filming them. I think I think we need to be careful of what we do when it comes to that, because Big Brother exists, and he is us. We are monitoring each other, and so we have to watch what we're doing in terms of this kind of policing ourselves just by recording everything everyone does, for the purpose of shaming them and things like that. I think that's a different line, as a private citizen versus, say, a person who is a public servant. What scientists or science make the most important discovery and contribution to humanity? Let's see, Jonas Salk. Newton, still one of the giants. Let's see. Do I think most important discoveries though? Yeah, I think vaccines, germ theory, things that are health related are some of the most important discoveries that we've had in terms of contributing to society. I think the ones that there are scientists that we don't know about that have contributed in ways that we don't even think about anymore. Those, when the first people who started splicing grains to get stronger stronger strains to feed more people have probably saved more lives than anyone in the history of the world. Uh, and it's just, it happened a long time ago, uh, and no one's getting credit for that. uh, watch a bit of a video. I don't think I can watch a little bit of video right now. Maybe I'll check the room, but I want to kind of keep the flow going. Yeah, I'm going to hold on to these, and I'll definitely look at them separately, and maybe I'll make a whole separate thing on it because it looks interesting, but uh, I don't want to interpret things on the fly without actually thinking about things, especially when it comes to how the police are interacting with the public. Someone says, Paul Story Q, when Mount Krakatoa, I'm sure that means Krakatoa, erupted, how was it heard over 3,000 miles away? Is Earth's gravity strong enough to bend sound? No. Earth's gravity is not strong enough to bend sound. But sound propagates through mediums, for one. So you have sound coming off of this mountain exploding. It's going to propagate in several different ways through the air, and it's gonna just radiate out from there. And it's a huge explosion, and it kind of decreases. I don't know if it's on a logarithmic curve or how actually it falls off. I'm not exactly sure how sound propagation works on that end, but also bounces and is echoed off of the surface as it goes, and so it can travel farther that way. Also, it travels through the ground. It shakes through the earth and actually travels faster through denser medium. So you also have sound traveling through there. But it actually, I think it bounced around. If I'm correct, it was reported several times. It bounced around the earth. It's not, and it's not because of gravity. It's because it's a medium of air that is traveling through, and as it comes up against denser walls of air, storms, clouds, whatever, it bounces and continues going until the energy of it dissipates. But it doesn't just go out a certain distance and stop. It goes through a certain amount of medium before it stops, and it just had to keep going until it faded out. But it wasn't due to gravity, no. Yeah, I don't know why anyone would think that. Let's see. Ann on asked, I wonder if you could talk about your thoughts on the chances of alien life. There's been recent news and speculation about, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that interstellar rock that's moving strangely. Oumuamua, probably due to off-gassing and or solar wind, or just things we don't fully understand, rather than being a spaceship. Yes, there was a whole idea that maybe it's an interstellar spaceship because it was moving weird. But it's still an interesting topic. Drake equation, Fermi paradox. Let's see. So that interstellar object. Hold on a second here. Boom, boom. Got a lot of notices going on. And dismiss. Yeah, probably due to that's probably moving weird due to off gassing. If it's breaking apart and it's getting a little change in its trajectory. If it's coming across through gravitational wells, due to any other objects can also be screwing it up. I don't necessarily think it's a spaceship. Would be awesome, but don't think it would be. But Fermi paradox, let's see if I remember that correctly. That's the whole idea that you look at the chances of there being life in the universe, but then you look at the lack of evidence we have for life in the universe. This seems to be, an odd contradiction. We have a tremendous chance of there being other life, so small evidence. And honestly, I think that has to do with the vastness, of the universe. Information still only travels so far and so fast. So it's completely possible that there is, let's say, another intelligent form of life out there that has the ability to communicate and is sending out messages just like we are. But they're so far away that we will long be extinct before anything that they send out gets to us. It's the nature of scale. So, yeah, the chances of there being alien life out there is very high. Whether or not it's life that's intelligent, who knows? Whether if it's life that's intelligent that we'd ever have the ability to communicate with, that's another thing altogether. I mean, there's just the idea that on our own planet, we share tremendous amount of our own genetic structure with other species. You look at the other great apes, and I say the other great apes because we're all part of this family. The other great apes are really close to us genetically. I can't remember the exact percentage that we have absolutely, precisely in common. It's just a small, actually, and yeah, that's another point I'm going to make, Team Skeptic. We have such a small amount of DNA difference between us and our fellow great apes. But that little tiny difference has made a tremendous difference in terms of our ability to, our intellect and our ability to communicate. And yet we can barely communicate only through like a tremendous amount of training and kind of cohabitation and teaching, have the slightest bit of a discussion with, a gorilla that has managed to learn sign language and be able to tell us what it's kind of thinking and what topics are going on in its head. But in terms of being able to understand and communicate with another species that is so close to us, it's nearly impossible. And that's just barely any genetic difference. And then if you go to something that has a greater genetic difference, you say go down to like monkeys. It's like, yeah, there's just only like kind of that monkey brain level communication. It's like you're hungry, you need to go this way, you want to go in that direction, you're kind of unsettled, kind of this general ability to just read the moods and of these creatures that are that far away from us genetically. And that's still only talking about 3 or 4%. And as Anon mentioned, so 98% with chimpanzees, 74% bananas. So you get to the point where say it's 74% of our genetics is the same as a banana. There's nothing there. There's no ability to communicate whatsoever. So now you come across an alien species that is an intelligent species, but has, unless there's like, panspermia, unless somehow we all, we share genetics because we both evolved from whatever, meteor that, broke up and sent the amino acids out and landed on both of our planets. We're going to share no DNA with this intelligent species, this other life. The chances of communication with that is so, is is highly unlikely, unless somehow intelligence starts to conflate at a point where you get to a certain point and then you can communicate. But that's the thing. You can have a species that is intelligent, but we share so little in common, thought processes, brain wiring, or whatever wiring, that you can't communicate at all. So that'd be, that's a problem. Let's see. And bananas are radioactive. Let's see what else. Yes, and then Father Skeptic mentioned, and I've said this before, and I absolutely hope this not to be true, but when it comes to life in the universe and intelligent life in the universe, somebody had to be first. Let's say that there's a potential of life throughout the entire universe, and there is, because just the circumstances are out there. Technically, somebody had to be first, and so there's always a chance it's us. It would kind of suck, but there's always a chance that it's us, and so and not that we're super evolved and because we're special. It's just there's a non-zero chance that we're first, and so there's a chance that there's nobody out there at the moment that's evolved to a level that we can communicate with them, or maybe there is somebody out there and maybe they're on a trajectory where they're gonna surpass us in intellect. But it's one of those things that kind of sucks, but you have to admit there is a non-zero chance that we are first, and should kind of suck, or that we are last. Yes, yeah. There's another yes, or we are last. That's absolutely true. So, let's see. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. So, anything new in the Coco the Great? Yes. Yeah. Communicating. Mm-hmm. Are there any conspiracy? First, before that, put a serious consideration that the world could be a matrix. Do I put any serious consideration? No. Only because that can become like infinitely regressive in terms of, well, if the world's in a matrix, that means there's somebody generating that matrix, but that could be a matrix, and that could be a matrix, and that could be a matrix, and that could be a matrix. I as an intellectual exercise, it's kind of fun, but it doesn't really hold any value to me, because we still have to act as if we're not, and we still have to explore things as if we're not. You can just, if you want to just dismiss it and go, yeah, we're all just the dream of somebody, asleep right now, and there's a madman asleep, and we're just all his creation in his mind, and then decide you're just going to ignore everything in the world because none of it matters. That's up to you. But as far as I'm concerned, even if we are Sims in a vast supercomputer, we still have to live our lives as if we're not, and we need to explore what there is and find out about the universe from the information it gives us. Are there any conspiracy theories? I do believe in new ones, like new ongoing ones, as opposed to like old scientific experiments being acted against the people. So I'm taking like current ones, not like if there's any ones in particular, because I don't keep track of all conspiracy theories going on. But the thing is, there is a history of conspiracies. They actually exist. I mean, that's how things happen. Things happen and things get done through conspiracy. People get together, they come up with an idea to do something. Thus, they're conspiring, and thus things get done. So I need to get some specific examples of conspiracy theories that are going on right now. For example, do I think that there are crisis actors going around at these different shooting sites? No. Do I think I can't remember the name of it all of a sudden. Things like certain school shootings were false flag operations? No. Do I think 9/11 was an inside job? No. But do I think it's possible that that the Bush administration knew things were going to happen and didn't do anything about it? It's a possibility, because they sure were ready to take advantage of the powers that were given to them at the time. Because I mean, those who were around at the time, we were already arguing about the Project for the New American Century. I'm not sure if people know what that is. Most of it, a lot of it might have been before your time, but Project for a New American Century was a cabal of talking heads and conservative pundits and power brokers that had come with this platform to talk about what the agenda should be going forward. This was the late 90s, and one of the things that they talked about was going into the Middle East, putting in regime change and turning it into like a new American colony to a certain degree, at least a political colony, if not an actual colony. And what their game plan was to take advantage of a power vacuum. If something would happen that would allow them to get in, be ready and get in, especially if something of a major catastrophe like I think they said like a Pearl Harbor level thing happened, then they need to be ready to take advantage of it. And so they were ready to take advantage of it when 9/11 happened. So many people think that that means that they orchestrated it, which I don't think is necessarily the case, because people are perfectly capable of committing heinous crimes without being manipulated. But damn if they were not ready to take advantage of it when it happened. So I believe that there was, to a certain degree, a conspiracy to take advantage of the situation, to falsify evidence in order to get us into that war so we could do what we wanted in there. But in terms of modern conspiracies, I don't know, throw some out there, maybe post some to our moderators and see if they can toss them my way. My thought, I think I already discussed dark matter and dark energy as placeholders for things we don't know. There's a vast number of possibilities of what they are. From the dark matter is about the unseen matter that is causing, that is the source of the extra gravity that seems to be existing in the universe. And so that could be many things. But yeah, I've kind of gone into that before about all the possibilities in terms of just a change in the gravitational constant, to dark neutron stars that are out there that aren't seen, many things. But I think it's it's one of those things that I think is unfortunate that it seems like I'm kind of a made up thing, but it's a placeholder for what we don't know. And as once they figure out what it is, it won't be called dark matter anymore. They'll come up with a name for exactly what it is. Thoughts on powering more of our society on geothermal, wave, and tidal energy? I really, especially geothermal, I'm not sure how far that will go, because that still takes, there's a lot of there's property involved and things like that. Though I think it's a great energy source, but I really, really hope that we get better at tidal energy conversion. There's so much power involved in tidal forces. If you can find an efficient way of translating that into the mechanical force energy necessary to do generators, there's more energy out there that's just being driven by the system. It's being driven by, our the movements of the planets and movement of the moon. That if we can find an efficient way of doing it, there's just so much power out there. I'm all for it. Question is, there's a tremendous amount of investment required for that type of thing. But I'm hoping for the day. Mm-hmm. I'm working on cold moonshine. Cold moonshine makes it sound like it's a drink. Someone says justice, a whole bunch of other stuff. Please debunk cold light from the moon. I'm working on that. I got behind this month, and so now the moon's just a little sliver out there. So I need to wait till it's a nice full moon for it. But I am working on that. Mm-hmm. Let's see. How well do my solar panels do? They do pretty good. They do pretty well. This is an incredibly inefficient house. It's old. It's over 100 years old. It's so there's a lot of leakage. Even though we try to plug it up, it takes a lot of power to keep it warm. We have a ton of lights. We have windows everywhere. So the power bill was insane for years. We're talking $400 a month, 300 a month on electricity. So that has cut it down to a quarter of that, the solar panels. But it does take regular maintenance. I need to get up there and clean them off. Like I noticed, I have all these pollinating trees, and since we're not getting the rain, and freaking global warming is making the trees not understand what time of year it is. They're still freaking pollinating and dropping things. So I have to clean them off on a regular basis. That's the only way to keep them efficient. Can I explain how a gyro compass works to Dr. Perspective? What does Dr. Perspective say? Is he one of the people who thinks that a compass doesn't in a plane proves that the Earth is flat or something like that? I'm not exactly sure. It's a little too broad, and I want to make sure I get to people. Yeah, I'm with you, Team Skeptic. I try to stay away from philosophical arguments. Leave those to Steve McRae. He loves that stuff. Let's see. Oh, message retracted. Dun, 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 Who else is in the room? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yes, Steve McRae is his. Yeah, excellent. I leave the philosophical arguments to him. Doctor's Perspective. All you need to do is physically measure the curve, or I can just take a picture of the curve, which I've done. Doctor's Perspective. I know you think that the objects going over a curve don't exist. So there's really not much explaining things to you when you think things just don't exist. What I'm trying to figure out, I want to find a place. I need to find a place on the planet where I can do this. Hold on real quick. Any thoughts on thought affecting matter? Is that people's thoughts affecting matter? Kind of like that, our moods affecting the way crystals form and stuff like that? Because that's garbage. That's my thought on that. My thoughts affect matter all the time in terms of there's the chemical processes that happen as I think about something. It changes my brain chemistry, which causes different enzymes and different hormones to excrete and things like that. Thoughts affecting matter that way. But in terms of like a quantum type of communication type of thing, is that what that question is? I think there's no evidence of that, and people who think about that that type of thing, or just taking advantages of things we don't know in terms of how quantum fields work, and how like quantum locking and things like that, or pairing works, to just fill in with what they want. What are my thoughts on other dimensions? The dimensions are kind of a frightening concept. And it's much like the whole Matrix concept. It's one of those things that if something exists that we can't interact with, we can't communicate with, we can't see, and we can't measure, does it really exist to us? Get into our philosophical concept. Does it really exist to us if we can't, in any way, interact with it? So it's more of an intellectual exercise. Like, there's a whole idea that, us here on the 3 or 4 dimensional plane, depends on if you want to go with just spatial dimensions, or if you want to add in the dimension of kind of the wavering dimension of time. We can only experience or affect things down from us. We can affect we can picture things 2-dimensionally. We can interact with the face of things, but we can't those things don't experience us if they exist there. It's more of a philosophical construct. So if you can't interact with it in any way whatsoever, does it exist at all? But if it can't interact with us, then that's something else, and that's kind of scary idea that we could be living in our 3-dimensional spatial 3-dimensional world, and there's a whole 4-dimensional existence out there, and it has the ability to interact with us without us interacting with it. That'd be kind of scary. Do I have an opinion on NSI proving that thought affects matter and energy? You have to send me a link on that. Post a link and leave it here, because I would like to see what their proof is. I don't have any thoughts on that. Please arrange an All-Star Live versus Globe debate and kill. That wouldn't do it. That would just give them more fuel. You give them that type of stage, and it just makes them feel more legitimate. Are my dreads real in terms of like, are they actual in my head, as opposed to being like weaves? Yes, they are real, but they're not. They're not like real dreads in the sense of I didn't just let my hair get nappy and just not and just let it dread up in that sense. These were twisted and they're maintained, as opposed to just being just like true, just like nappy dreads, where you just kind of purposely just allow it to lock up and kind of comb in the tangles. It's not that way. And there's no religious aspect to my my look. So they are actual hair, they are actual dreadlocks, they are on my actual head and are real, but I am not Rasta, and they are not that type of locks. What is the most frightening thing to me about the universe? That it doesn't care about us in the slightest and would slough us off its shoulders in a hot second without even caring. A meteor can strike this planet and we'd be done. And wouldn't matter. We could, we really don't have any lasting effect on this universe, and that's kind of a frightening thing. viruses, the alien beings that are viruses are also freaking frightening. Where do I stand on time travel? Sci-fi nonsense or a scientific possibility? I've heard arguments going both ways. Well, there's much of time travel discussion is sci-fi nonsense, and I love it. I am a time travel fan, but it's one of those things that whether or not you can travel through time and actually affect the future is questionable. But the fact that time is also kind of part of the reference frame that you're in says that there's no such thing as a true, there's no such thing as now. Time travels differently depending on where you are, what type of gravitational well you're in, the acceleration you're going through due to if you get toward relativistic speeds and things like that. So time isn't like this constant thing. So how malleable it is the question. So time travel in the sense of like me going back in time and affecting it, affecting my reality, I think is the world of sci-fi. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's fascinating, but I do think time travel is possible, especially by going forward. I mean, I think you can go. I think you can change the rate that you go forward. Yes. So something Team Skeptic is saying there. But and question is, if time travel happens, would we, if it's possible to go back in time and actually affect future things, is there any way of knowing that happened? Because we are a result of that. I mean, are we the result of time travel happening right now? And is our reality being rewritten at every moment by things being affected? All right. Upcoming experiments or rebuttals that I plan to do or willing to tell on this stream. I have, let's see, I'm in communication with Critical Think on a project that's going to take a while to get together since we're in different locations. I have a series of shorts that I'm working on. I mentioned last time that I need to find time to put together called comment thread science, which are just basic tutorials on questions that get brought up repeatedly on comment threads. And every time I watch other people's videos, I find more things to talk about. Like I watched part of D Marble's live stream on Friday, and there's just the whole concept of not understanding how satellites work and how Lagrange points work and things like that. So I might put something together for that. Problem is, I'm really, really busy with work these days, and I'm trying to juggle a number of things at the same time. But yes, I do have a number of small things, and that's something that people who are involved with my Patreon that I just just set up, shameless plug, that I just set up will be more privy to, because I will put information and the workings of projects, so the behind the scenes of projects will go up there, so people can see things that are coming down the pipe before they get here. So that is something that will be part of that. Let's see. Okay, they're passing upcoming experiments. Do I think that the human race will one day come to regret Voyager, the series? Regret that already. But Voyager, the probe, no, I don't think so. I got a feeling that thing's going to just keep going until it's probably going to smash into something before. Hey, thank you for the super chat. Their designs on Q1. Thank you very much. That donation is going to the Soja community, which is the nonprofit that I do work with, teaching self-defense to seniors and children and people who can't afford to get their own, have like that type of gym membership. Thank you for the compliment of my dreads, Jen. But before I get to that there, let's see. We think we'll ever get cold fusion down? Probably not. Not to a point where it'll be an actual efficient, not in my lifetime, to be efficient resource. I think more money is better served in things like tidal things, tidal power, stuff like that. Do you think I think cultural appropriation is really a thing, or just another way first world people to whine? Well, it's a little bit of both. There's cultural appropriation, like the soft cultural appropriation, which is like, I really enjoy that. I think that hairstyle looks really good. I think those clothes look really good. I think I would look good in them. I would like to wear them. I would like to have that because I appreciate that look. And that's like cultural appreciation to a certain degree, not so much appropriation. But then there's things like designers who go to, say, Native American people, and they look at the material that they've used, and they take patterns that have been used by that culture for a long time and have certain meaning to them, and then they go out and they mass market it as if it's their own creation. And they put this thing out as, I'm a great designer and look at these things that I've done, when they've actually just they've literally just like stolen things from other people's cultures for their own benefit. And that's a different thing altogether. So it all depends on how it comes across and what the purpose is behind it. I don't really have a problem with, I didn't have a problem with Bo Derek having, cornrows or something like that, even though I just think they didn't look very good. So it all depends. Are the people putting this on because of true appreciation, or are they trying to take it as theirs? And so I do it. It's on a case by case basis. Did I catch the Rosa episode of Doctor Who? Yes, I did, and I enjoyed it. Though, once again, I mean, I was hoping that it would have a more modern understanding of. So this is about the 2 episodes ago, episode of Doctor Who, which was based on the Rosa Parks historical event. And I was really hoping that they would have a more modern understanding of what happened with Rosa Parks, as opposed to kind of this mythological, there's this woman who was just tired and she didn't want to change her seat, and so she just refused, and it caused all this ruckus, and which was kind of the story that we all were kind of told for a long time, and so it's been kind of perpetuated in the media. And of course, it's a British show, so I don't expect them to truly understand what was going on, but it's modern. They should have had a little more information, because the fact is, Rosa didn't just decide to not give up her seat. Okay, this had been done before her, and this was a conspiracy. It was a coordinated effort between her and Martin and a whole group of people back there to have this happen, and make sure this incident would happen in order to put this into the forefront. It was choreographed. It was done on purpose. And so it didn't just happen. They planned it, which makes it that much more awesome. And so there was a scene in the Doctor Who episode where the young companion. I don't know all their names yet. Uh, went with Rosa back to her house to help her. Like, I can't remember. Just he was following her, and she let him in. And Martin was there, and her husband was there. And I was like, oh, this is going to be the spot where they talk about it being like a coordinated thing. This will be a good moment for them to talk about it. They're right there. They can say that, they can mention that they have a plan, but they didn't. It was just like, no, Martin's just over for dinner. He's just chilling. And I thought that was a missed opportunity. But otherwise, I did enjoy the episode. But I just, but hey, we us Americans, we butchered the history of everyone else in the world, and our fiction and our entertainment. Yeah, that's what happens. We get a taste of our own. Do I think the idea of multiverse can protect us from paradoxes by splitting timelines? I think it's possible. Yes. So that kind of makes time travel kind of almost moot, though. If you go back, if you go out and you change time and it's a new time stream, you actually didn't help the people you wanted to help. You helped this other version of people you wanted to help, and then there's the whole thing of why. Yes, you can expect new designs with shirts. Yes, you can. All right, there's a lot of stuff going on in the room here. I see a lot of stuff going back and forth. What's going on in the room? Man-made concept. Excellent. So what's going on in the room? Let's see if we respond to people here. I don't see anything new. Any new comments? Okay, James Alsop, I don't know. When you come in on the end of a conversation, you always come up with some weird stuff, and that is a weird comment you just said, James. No idea what you're responding to. Oh, thank you very much, Dylan. You're a cool and smart dude, too. Deathpool Wilson. Excellent. Nice to see you. Is gravity so weak because it may be leaking into? I've never actually heard anyone come up with that idea. No, I don't see why that would be a thing. Have I looked into E8 theory? No. Drop a link, whoever Marrow today. Drop a link to that. Actually, maybe just put a regular comment on the video. I'm more likely to see it. Ever do research on pseudoscience, alt meds, craziest alt meds, like in it's now 1.5 hours. Oh yes, thank you. No, I haven't really done any much research on it, other than the fact that I have a lot of people in my family who have medical issues, and so they're always kind of looking at things. And the medical science, well, at least the pseudoscience when it comes to certain things like kind of the faith healy, what's the stuff called? All the little pills that you can. I'm blanking on the name for the kind of pseudoscience distillation process of chemicals in order to get like the power of their essence. I'm suddenly blanking on the name of that. I'll remember in a second. Someone will post it. Homeopathy. Thank you. Jesus, for some reason I wasn't able to remember that word. Yeah, the magic of homeopathy. Yeah, I'm not down with that. Yeah, someone I had a cold or something, and someone said, "Oh, you should really try this stuff." I think it was Zycan or something. You should try it. It works. It's really great. I'm like, okay, sure. I'll go to the store and I'll pick some up. And I picked some up, and I just tossed it in my cart, and got home and popped it out. And I'm like, this is like homeopathic. No. And mainly because it's, the placebo effect is great. It does great things, but it doesn't work very well if you know it's a placebo. For one, it still can work even if you know it's a placebo. It does still affect to a certain degree. But I have no plan on financially. I have no desire to financially support um, placebos. It's like, no, I'm not going to financially support placebos, uh, and I'm not going to financially support this kind of mysticism behind that kind of thing. Am I a comic fan? Yes, I am. I haven't been reading many. I just haven't had time to keep up on comics lately. So I have certain comics that I read, and then I have like a subscription, like a digital subscription to Marvel, so I can get their stuff. Usually within like 4 months of something coming out, I can just read things on my iPad without having to purchase. I have a collection of there's probably still about 2,000 comics down in my basement, mostly 80s and 90s stuff that I've still held on to. A lot of graphic novels. So right now, I kind of only follow comics that are written and or drawn by people I know. Like my good friend David Walker, who was doing Power Man and Iron Fist. I think he's doing uh, he's doing an Avengers book right now. Um, and who else is out there doing? There's a couple other books out there that are changing all the time. I follow creators now. But yeah, so yeah, I don't have anything here, but yeah, I'm an old time comics fan, and still draw a bit myself. And like I think I'm getting Mage just wrapped up. I think that's on my list. I haven't read the last few. I've just been collecting them. I haven't read the last few episodes, issues. Oh, that one I've addressed that one far too many times. Uh, does YouTube? I don't know how YouTube APIs work. Branch up more flat Earth stuff, debunking to show other scientific consensus like CO2 or Congress and their non-scientific. Yeah, some talking about Congress and the non-scientific basis of a lot of politicians in the United States is really frustrating. And don't even get me started on the Trump administration. Yeah. For work for the YouTube jobs. Considered adapting the content you produce for work for YouTube once you said that your job is to explain, simplify. Yeah, not particularly. I kind of do. I really don't plan on doing this for a living. Even though I do, what I would like to do is start producing things that can be used in the classroom. So that's what comment thread science is going to be about. Hopefully, I'll be able to simplify things and make them very approachable to students. Things that can be used by teachers to help explain concepts to people. So yeah, use my power for good. No, I've never watched Mag. Is that a short for something else? I have not watched that. Have I looked into anthropogenic global warming very much? I've looked into it a decent amount. I do believe that global warming, climate change, however you want to say it, is an actual real thing. If you do an experiment, would I narrate it? Depends on what the experiment is. So possible. Feel free to send it my way. Right Wing Daddy, have I seen any of your vids? No. I don't know you from Adam, mythological Adam. Let's see. Any of my vids, I'm a professional political expert. I will debate you live on air. I believe my talking points are better than yours. I don't have talking points. I actually just have my own opinion. So if you have talking points, then you're already at a disadvantage because you just have a list of points. So why would I want to debate you about it? I don't even know you. It's like, I don't even know what we disagree on. I always find it hilarious that people would just say, it's like, come and debate me and I'll destroy you. And I'm like, I don't even know you, dude. Why would I be interested in debating you? Uh, so, yeah, do your thing. If I decide that I'm interested in looking at your thing, I'll look at your thing. But I don't know you. Don't care. Have I ever cosplayed? No. Um, I mean, I've done Halloween. That's different, but I've never officially cosplayed. Even though I have some friends who are like professional cosplayers, in terms of they get paid money to go out in their costume for for business openings and things like that. I have a friend who just has this great Tony Stark look. Made himself a really good. I can't remember Mark Five. I can't remember what suit he made, but it's just excellent. Um, but no, I never have. Let's see. Da-da-da. I do watch Comics Explained. I haven't watched it lately. So no, I haven't heard the story of how the Marvel multiverse came to be. I'm kind of bothered by the fact that there's so much multiverse stuff going on in Marvel right now. It's starting to feel a whole lot like pre-crisis DC. That's a deep cut comic book reference for those of you out there. So yeah, my son's telling me about things that he's reading in some of the books he is, and I'm like, what's with all this multiverse stuff? So yeah, so I haven't looked that up, but I do like Comics Explained. I haven't watched it in a couple months. I'll check in and see what they've got going on. What he's got going on. Let's see. Let's see. If you want to join the Hangout, Young Blue, feel free. It's in. There's a link in the mod section. Feel free. Yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours. If Team Skeptic wants to jump in, if somebody could drop him, if Father Skeptic wants to jump in, one of you guys drop him a link so he can we can just kind of chit chat as we go. Feel free. Okay. Yeah, whatever, right wing daddy. I'm already bored with you. So, yeah. I'm going to put you in a timeout there, buddy. Joe Pizarro, this is your first live chat. Really? How long have you been doing YouTube? This is your first one? Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I never have. I just don't want to visually see that kind of garbage. Normally, I don't time out people because I'm not looking at the stream. I'm looking at other windows over here. But sometimes you just don't want certain things in your brain, and that kind of I ain't got time for that. It's morning. It's a sunny day. I got no time for that kind of noise. Let's see. Hey, Critical Think. Good morning. Let's see. I don't know if I can get Critical Think a link as well if he wants to come in and say hey. Yeah, some things you just can't unthink. I know, but I'm not going to voluntarily subject myself to certain visual input because there's just more to come. Raging S. Really, Swan Lake? You're watching his videos? Like I said, we'll see. I haven't looked at his videos yet. Yeah, announce yourself on the Discord. Hold on a second here. Let's see. I will just do this real quick. I can find your team. Be right with you. Copy that. Close. Team. Boom. All right, I just sent you a Discord there. Oh, you got it. All right, you got it already. All right. Let's see. Who wants to hop in the room? Hey, where's Wally? What's up? Oh, I forgot to. I forgot all about that one user that you gave me. Where's Wally? I forgot him. I think we have. Let's see. Let's unblock people. Are you there, Father? Father, are you there? Hold on a second. Let me get my control board. Yeah, you're not muted on my end. You're there, Father Sapien?
Yeah, my bad. I had myself muted on
right.
my end. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. I'm working on an idiot video. after basically being denigrated by my idol for calling people idiots.
No.
I'm giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I know. But hey, my thing is idiots is fine. I got no problem with calling people idiots. But there's just like a certain level of vitriol that happens. You know how it is, and you know.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, don't do that while defending me. You know, that's my thing. It's like I don't, you know, we're good. You know, I can defend myself on, you know, but they'll just say something like, someone will come at me with this video made no sense whatsoever, and someone will just hop on and just right off the bat, just like, I'm not even going to do it here, or just rail them, just like just like the deep cut reaming on some foul business. And I'm like, really, right out the box, that's what you're going to do? I'm thank you for supporting you, but that's wholly not necessary. Oh, and all he said was, you didn't prove your point. You know, they just go at him as if they, you know, cursed my mother or something.
Yeah, I have the same issue. I have great subscribers that handle my lightweight daily.
Yeah.
My last video has almost like 1,400 comments, and I've left maybe 5. You know, so it's like people going back and forth, and of course the flat earthers are all trying to get my attention. They're like, "Oh, Father Skeptic, Father Skeptic, well, what about this?" And I'm like, "Geez, just read the last comment where somebody asked about that." Like,
yeah,
please.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm going to do this little series I call Comment Thread Science, is because there are so many questions that just get asked over and over and over again, and I just get tired of repeating it. So my thing is, okay, I'll take this just general comment that I tend to get, and I'll just do a video that's like 5 minutes explaining that concept, and then just so whenever it comes up, just send them a link to that video. send them a link to that video. So it'll just be a series of those. Do we have Critical Think on there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
That's great. Have you seen my latest video I put out last night? It's a good one.
I saw that it went up, but I did not have a chance to look at it because I was preparing for this. This was it a ranty? Not a ranty one.
No, this a very simple observation that even the flatties can't deny this one, I'd say.
But did it have a ship on a horizon in as
Yeah.
a okay? Yeah, I saw the I looked at it. I'm like, that looks like it's going to be like going after Ranty or something. Yeah, I saw the thumbnail, but I didn't have a chance to take it.
That's okay.
Can I ask what the name of the channel is? Because I'm not sure that I am subscribed to you, and I have no
Critical
problem
think.
subscribing. Critical think, all right.
Yeah, and so someone did ask earlier if I have any future projects in mind, and I did mention that you and I are working on something that's going to take a while for us to work through, but we're going to get together. We have some distance to make up for, but it's going to take us a while to do it. But Critical Think and I are trying to collaborate on some stuff here, so we'll see what comes of that.
It'll be very interesting.
Yeah. So that is something down the pipe. So do you want to? I'll definitely look at your video later because I'm subbed. But going to give a quick overview, or maybe someone stick a link in the chat to it.
I can give a quick overview. It's something I went out and took these photos out at the beach yesterday, and when I got home, I realized something very profound from the photos, and it's so simple. I don't know why I've missed it before, never noticed it, but when you look at, I won't. I think you should. I don't want to spoil the video because.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
When you look at the ship on the horizon, it's so obvious the Earth is not flat when you know what you're looking at.
Right. Well, and I think important element of what you just said there is when you know what you're looking at.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know what they're looking at. They have so much. They have this expectation of what the world, everything should be, and so they just kind of impose their own worldview on their observations. They change what they observe because of their mental state. By the way, someone mentioned that they love when you start your videos upside down, which is great. But you caught me off guard on one of your last ones where you had said that it was like your orientation was adjusted or something like that.
Yes, that's right.
And it took me a second. I'm like, oh, what's going? Oh, that's why, because he's upside down in Australia, and so he changed. He had to put another orientation filter on it. Okay, you caught me on that. But at first I was thinking, oh, he's done some. Oh, that's what it is. He's upside down, and he had to reorient the camera. So that was good. You made me think for a second there, and then I felt stupid. Yeah. So good on you there. I hope people get a good laugh at some of the stuff I do. That's all. Well, yeah, I think you keep it relatively light, which is good. I think we need to have kind of everything. I like the fact that, like for example, the three of us right here, we don't have the exact same methodology of doing anything, which is great, because then if you want to hear a different. I don't like hearing the same thing over and over again. I don't like hearing the same approach to an argument every time. I don't make a lot of videos because I've seen what someone else has done, and that's how I would do it. So there's no reason for me to do it.
Exactly. Exactly.
I
literally had this conversation with someone in the comments. Simon and Dan had commented on something on my channel, and I was like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Congrats on your recent success. And, you're a great content creator and keep up the good work. You deserve it. And then the follow-up comment was from someone else that was like, you would have a lot more subs. You would have 70,000 plus subs if you would stop cussing too. And I was like, yeah, but then I would be another Simon Dan or another GreaterSapien or another Reds, or I could go even harder and be another Reds Rhetoric. What am I supposed? I am me, and this is why this is representative of me in real life. So that's why people do like my channel, is because I think they feel the uniqueness of who I am and how I present myself. Like, I'm not faking it, I'm not out here just making up this character that everybody seems to like.
Yeah, and I could have a lot more content if I just reacted to every video that was about me, or everyone that was linked to that had something stupid, and I just say, yeah, I'm gonna attack this, I'm gonna attack this. But what I do is I look at things that are kind of interesting to me. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So sometimes I'll go weeks because it's like, you know what, there's nothing out there that's really, really, really floating my boat. I'm not really, not really intrigued by anything, or something that maybe someone else has done, but oh, they didn't talk about this aspect of it, which is the part that I'm interested in. So I'll do it. I love and hate certain creators because they put out a bunch of stuff and they do it so well that I don't necessarily feel the need to do anything. I'm like, you know what, Wolfie's got that one. It's like it's like, oh, I see this video, but it's like 4 days old, and damn, they've already, Sly's already taken care of that one, and he did a really good job on it. I don't think I can bring anything new to the conversation. I could put it out just to try to get some views on it, but why? The information is right there. So there's no need. I'm not going to do anything new. So unless I feel like I can be me and bring my point of view, my take, information. Sometimes it might be the same information, but I can word it in a way that I think is more approachable to people. Then I'll do it. But I don't just throw out content just to get stuff out there. It has to be authentic. And so then you have my vibe, and there's your vibe, and then there's Critical Think's vibe, which is different, but it's still like solid content. And it's like, oh, yeah. And he's kind of silly when he does it, which is kind of funny because this is kind of a funny thing to be talking about. We should be laughing at it a little bit. So we should. Yeah.
It's a laughing. It is funny sometimes, but then sometimes it gets a little bit serious when you think, how can people really think this way?
Yeah.
I remember seeing your the first video that I saw of yours, GreaterSapien, and when I saw the intro with you walking up trying to act all mean and tough, I promise you, man, I reached for my boxing gloves just in case, and then was pleasantly surprised that you're actually a pretty cool dude that had a really nice tone, that that definitely approached the flat earth concept more like in the intellectual sense and not so much in the reactionary. Like a lot of the stuff I do is reacting to what they say. A lot of things you do is breaking down what they say and showing how wrong they are. And to me, it's great. It's great that there's all of us on here. Like you said, we're all the different. It's solid content from different types of creators, and it works out for everybody.
Yeah. It's I enjoy that. Yeah, but when people talk about, my detractors will talk about, it's like, oh, you're trying to look so hard in your intro, and you look so hard in your this.
You do.
I find, yeah. Well, the thing is, I have like angry black man face.
Very, very good too.
That's just like my natural, look, if I'm not like actively like engaging people and like smiling and doing stuff,
There you go with that. Watch out, man. I'm grabbing the boxing gloves, bro.
But that's just how my face is. And so when I'm thinking about things and like concentrating on things, I look kind of angry. And so it's not necessarily like an angry face. It's actually like a contemplative face. And so I think it's hilarious that when I walk down the street and I'm thinking about something, people are like, damn, dude, what's going on with you? I'm like, what? Huh? What? I'm fine. What are you talking about? And so, I don't know if it's on like an evolutionary, lizard brain, monkey brain type of thing, that this look that I have comes across to people as being kind of this aggressor thing. But it's totally not. But I was perfectly willing to play it up with, in the intro and stuff, because I just think it's hilarious, because I'm not that.
Oh yeah, it's great.
So to me, that is just, and people who know me are like, look at that fool. What are you doing? That's just a joke to me. The music that I use is, from a friend of mine who did this. This gentleman here, Iceberg Slick. It's a friend of mine. It's his music. So I'm literally like the only person online that has these songs. It was from a literal mixtape that he made that I converted to digital. And the songs are over the top kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use this because it's so not what I'm doing. It's so not what I'm doing on the inside. So that's just my own personal little joke to be doing those. I think it's hilarious. So who else do we have in the room? Oh, Requiem for a Dream. Mm-hmm. So who you doing your idiot video on?
A character by the name of M. Benz. Are you familiar with him?
I know. I recognize the name. I can't remember the type of things a person has.
Oh man, he's so enthusiastic about his stupidity.
Oh, those are the.
I'm gonna be. I feel kind of bad, you know. Like there's times when I feel bad when I'm doing a video about somebody, and I'm like, damn, you know what? I bet you're a really nice person in real life, but you're a fucking idiot, you know. Like, and that's just how it comes out. And literally, like, it's talking about sun size. It's talking about sunlight as being a proof for the flat Earth, and he keeps going. He keeps saying, just throw out what you already know. Just throw all that out the door. Let's start with no scientific assumptions that you were taught in school. And I'm just sitting here going, God, so does it mean that I have to throw critical thinking and logical deduction out as well?
Right.
Because
that's good.
If that's what you're asking me to do, then yes, it's okay for me to. I can see how I can believe in the flat Earth. But if what you're asking me to do is to remove everything but logical, deduction and logical reasoning, then you're going to have a hard time proving to me that the Earth, that the sun is not going beneath whatever the surface of the Earth may be. And since we also know that there's no time when no light is on the Earth, then that means it's not flat and going underneath a flat Earth. It's actually some other shape. And that other shape has, either a ball orbiting it or it spinning, orbiting a ball. So it doesn't, at that point, you can say, well, either one of those two can be viable based on just observing the sun alone using basic observations. But what you can also deduce is that the flat Earth is an impossibility. There is no way that the flat Earth can be a possibility with the observations that we see every day of the sun, with the sun. I mean, just the sunrise alone completely reduces flat Earth from being a possibility. Every sunrise to every observer on Earth,
especially in the southern hemisphere. Especially in the southern hemisphere.
I'm sorry. The what?
Every sunrise.
There's no such thing as a southern hemisphere. What are you talking about?
It's a hemiflat. It's the summer hemiflat.
Yes, the hemiflat.
The sun is rising south of east here now.
Yeah.
How's that work? How's that work on a flat Earth?
No, it's it's one of these things that they could, if they wished, test and these things. You look at whatever your flat Earth map happens to be, because whenever I bring up like the AE map, people go, that's not the one. I'm like, hey, look, that's what your people are using. So whatever your flat Earth map happens to be, you say, this is where I live. This is this is where the sun is at a certain time. When the sun rises, it should be at this angle from me. And now you say, I'm going to travel to this location here. And do it all predictively. You say, I'm going to travel to this location here. The sun is going to rise. According to my map, the sun should rise this direction here. And then you just test it or call somebody at that location and you find out if that's what's happening. And then you go, oh, that didn't work. And you can do this, you can do the same thing with, with the globe. And people do all the time. You say, look, well, I'm here and it's this time of year. It should be rising this way, which should be rising a little bit, south of east. And over here should be a little bit north, whatever. We do that on a regular basis. And they have the option of doing it. You hear people going, I'm going to go up to Alaska and I'm going to film such and such. Okay, how about you predict what you're going to do and explain exactly where things should happen beforehand. One thing that's part of the scientific method, and it's testability, and part of that testability is predictability. Your theory should be able to predict things. It should tell you what is going to happen. And then you can go and people say, oh, you can't repeat it. Repeatability isn't absolutely necessary for scientific, but some type of testing is. And testing it through predictability works. And so they could do it, but they don't. They'll just say that the southern hemisphere doesn't exist.
Yeah, they tend to sleep in on the equinoxes in an effort to miss the sunrise due east. I mean, That was one of the things when I did my first equinox video. I actually modeled it out 3D, and I came to a realization that, let's say we were to take a line of longitude, and we could take any line of longitude on the Earth, and we'll say, let's make all of our predictions based on with this line of longitude. Okay, so we're going to predict sunrise, solar noon, and sunset, and where the sun should be in each of those positions. So there's only one position that you can absolutely predict with certainty, and that's the subsolar point. That's the only one, because you know it's going to be over the equator, and you know where you can stand at a certain time of day for at your solar noon where the sun's going to be. So if you think about the sunrise, you say, well, it's going to be due east for every observer. We know this because there's ancient stone monoliths that are actually designed around this observation to help them with planning and like fertility festivals and all kinds of different crazy stuff before there was like modern day science to tell us why this is, or say that the shape of the earth is this way. They knew that the sun was going to be rising due east. So if you go down that line of longitude, at no point does that sun rise due east, nor does it set due west. At only one point is it a possibility, and that is at the North Pole. And at the North Pole, there is no such thing as east and west. There's only such thing as due south. So in every direction you go from the North Pole, it's due south. And on the equinoxes, the sun doesn't rise or set at the poles. It hovers along the line of the horizon. So there's only there is no way that any one person could use a flat earth map to accurately predict where the sun will rise from their perspective or from their vantage point according to the cardinal directions.
Yeah, I had one flatty try to tell me that the sunrise works on the equinox because the light goes around in a circle or some such strange thing.
Yeah, they
light goes around. Yeah, light goes around. See, that's the thing.
I guess we're rewriting physics.
Well, yeah, we're totally rewriting physics. Yeah, and optics. Yeah, we have to just come up with new stuff to make up for. It's like, how about you just use what we know? Just use what we know.
It's like flat earthers will say, oh, the sun's local because of crepuscular rays, completely denying the fact that there's anti-crepuscular rays that seem to converge onto another point. It's like, well, you think that these are coming from one point. So how is this possible behind me when I turn around and look and see the sun rays converging? I mean, they shouldn't do that unless they're coming in parallel and it's a figment of my perspective.
Yeah. I think I did that in my first D-Marvel video. My first extensive one. That was the first thing. I'm like, oh yeah, what about those? Those are the ones you see. What about those?
Yeah.
It's just like right off the bat. And then, and actually, in my recent trip to and from Texas, I was able to get some video of crepuscular rays, kind of heading, in the direction toward the sun as I was going that way. And then as we kind of traveled along, it's like, okay, now we're kind of going side, same rays on the same shot, but now I'm to the side of it, and you can see that they're parallel. Exact same rays. When we were over here, and now that I'm going next to them, they're parallel. It was perspective.
Well, I thought you did a wonderful job the last time I was on when you picked up your keyboard and showed everybody that your parallel edges of the keyboard don't look parallel when you hold them up to the camera, and you're talking about a very minute distance there. So this is not talking about what we're seeing from a huge sun over millions of miles, which is what we're essentially seeing. Is this over millions of miles? Those rays are not coming in at any divergent angles. I don't care what you think you're seeing. Those rays are coming in at parallel angles. They just look like they're divergent to you.
Yeah. But
exactly.
You can ignore a lot if that's what you want to see. So amazing.
I'm going to try and reconnect on my phone because I have to go and do something.
Okay. Let's see what else is going on.
Hey, GreaterSapien, I have a question for you. Part of the video I'm working on, he speaks about cognitive dissonance. And I've asked a couple of people this, and maybe you can kind of explain it a little bit better. Why is it that flat earthers believe that we have cognitive dissonance based on our belief of it being a heliocentric model?
Why do they? let's see.
Because as far as I understand, it's having actions that that are against what you believe. You know, like
Right.
shaking the hand of your enemy. You know, you don't like that guy, but you're shaking your hand with him anyway. That would be a form of cognitive dissonance.
And that it's about that conflict, you know, that happens in you as you do it. You know that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just like, yeah, I mean, we do shit that we don't want to do all the time. That's not necessarily cognitive dissonance, but that effect in your psyche that when you are having to kind of hold conflicting things at the same time. And so I think it's because it's been directed at them enough.
I was about to say, what my opinion is when I first heard him say it, I was like, so excuse me, do they think that we have cognitive dissonance because the conflict that would reside in us is based on the world being their model? You know, like we believe in the heliocentric model when we all know that it's really a flat earth. You know, that's
right.
how I took that comment, but I'm not the biggest I'm not really big on the philosophical side of sciences. So I don't know that correct answer without having to be taught it.
Yeah, and you know, there's for me when it comes to the globe denying people, there's that desire to embrace to be endorsed by science while at the same time denying science.
Yes.
That always goes on. Well, no, science like what's it the whole Patrick Shank, you know, refraction thing, and he was talking about how, you know, the atmosphere is like a lens, and that's why it does a certain thing. And I was like, yeah, it's like it's like a lens, but it is not a lens, and the way you have, you know, it's a different thing. And he was like, no, but you can't deny that science says that atmosphere is like a lens. And scientists will tell you that. It's like, well, those same scientists will tell you that the Earth is a globe.
Yeah.
So either you want to have science support you and you're going to go by the evidence is, you know, brought by science, or you're not. And there's that conflict of that need, you know, that desire to have the acceptance of the scientific community at the same time denying the authority of the scientific community. But yeah, so why I would like to have, yeah, that's something to put out there. Yeah, no one's ever really said that to me. They tend to like Dunning-Kruger effect, you know.
Yeah,
that tends to be their thing. But not cognitive dissonance. So we'll, yeah, I'm curious.
You can cherry pick the science to do what you want when you're a flat earther, can't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You can.
Yeah, the sun can be a spotlight that's not supposed to have any kind of circular circular shape for you as it goes away, but it does have a circular shape. And they say, oh well, you know, they just say, oh, it's perspective. That's perspective. That's light gets tired. I've heard that one. I've heard that one.
You've heard light gets tired.
Light gets tired. It simply does not have enough energy to make it all the way across the flat earth.
What about the limit of sight? The horizon is the limit of sight. I love that one.
Oh yeah, the limit of sight. But we can see the sun that's 3,000 miles away, though. We can't see beyond 6 miles at the horizon, but we can see the sun at 3,000 miles on the horizon.
What I find hilarious is that, you know, there's perspective and horizon, all that is limit of sight. And for some reason, it's also the limit of cameras.
Yeah.
It's like for some reason, all the devices are also limited the same way. I guess since we built them to act like our eyes, they have the same limitations as our eyes.
It's the limit of radar. It's the limit of radio transmission. It's I mean, there's so many limits that you have to, the simple fact that we can't see that far, it limits everything else too.
It was the whole thing with the Morgile's rebuttal to me he was saying that the sun and the moon are kind of generated images that are programmed by our brains, you know, that right? But it's like, so why does my camera see it that way?
Yeah, right. Why does the camera show it?
If my brain is generating that and telling me that's where it is, why does when I point the camera that way, or why does when someone else points the camera that way, does it see the same? How does that work? Or does it not see it, and somehow the universe programs me to think that's what the camera is seeing?
You're getting far too complicated now. Nobody will ever understand you.
Yeah, that goes along with those people that think that we're all existing in some pod in some reality, and this is just the manifestation of our mind into this reality right here, that like the Matrix kind of, that we're all not really living here, that the sun's not there. The sun is only a projection of a simulation that every person is programmed to see due east on the equinoxes.
Yeah.
But by that argument, then you could say, well, then the earth doesn't exist. The earth's not flat because it doesn't exist. It only exists under your feet when you need it to exist under your feet. It could be curved. It could be a bowling ball, or it could be a large flat plane. It could be anything it wants. It could be a single room that you're just living inside of, that the rest of the world doesn't exist because nobody else is out there, and it's all simulation anyway.
Yeah, that's why I don't
have
time. Yeah, that kind of, it's just like infinitely regressing kind of things. I don't have. Someone asked that earlier in the live stream, and I'm like, yeah, it's not that kind of talk or thought. It's fun to just kind of like speculate, but if you actually want to, you want to think about learning about the universe, you have to go, okay, I'll say it. It is a possibility that that we're living in a matrix and that all this stuff is pre-programmed and everything like that. But even if that's the case, I can't observe outside of this, so I have to act like I'm on a goddamn planet and observe what I observe. I still have to live as if this is reality. But we all, yes, could we all be the inside that that snow globe that mentally disabled boy on St. Elsewhere was looking at 25 years ago? I don't know if you guys, that's another deep cut reference, but there was a show called St. Elsewhere years ago. I mean, anybody familiar with that one?
Not familiar with it.
It was a hospital drama, and it was like 10 years long, and it was like, big dramatic, and all sorts of weird stuff happened, and it was super drama. And then the last episode, they revealed that all of it was just the dream of this mentally disabled boy who was looking at the snow globe of the hospital.
Oh my God.
That was like the last bit of the thing, because as they kind of cut, away and faded away, it was like, oh hey, there's that boy that was like early on in like the first season in the hospital, and it's like, oh, it was all him. It's like so we could all be that, but then we still have to act like we're in reality.
So let me ask you a question. Have you gone back and watched the series after you knew what the cliffhanger was at the end, so that you could see if there was any kind of other anomalies that kind of pointed to that you weren't aware of because you didn't even think that was a possibility?
No, but people have, and there were so many characters that showed up again, relationships that like storylines that got cut off. That was like I think an ending joke, because there was like storylines that had gotten cut off and not resolved and stuff. They were like, yeah, that's why, because he didn't think of it. I was like, oh, he didn't think of it. And there were guest stars from like other TV shows that are like obviously not in that universe, but for some reason like an actor wanted to be on the show, so he came in from his character from like some sitcom. They would like show up, and characters from this drama would show up on other networks as their character. It was like one of these weird things. And so they were like, yeah, it was just all his imagination. But we could be that. But if we were, we still have to act like we're here.
Yeah.
And we have to go
The
forward.
simulation points to the fact that our simulated world is a globe. So
and our simulated world follows certain rules. There's no denying that, even if it is simulated.
Yes, except for, there's the whole Mandela effect and all these other things that are happening that
I specifically remember Mandela coming out of prison. I specifically remember him stepping out and hands in the air and
doing
Yep, I remember all of it. And I've never even had to rewatch that video ever since hearing about the Mandela effect. I'm like, no, no, no. This was something that I recognized as a child. And I was like, this is going to be in some way, shape, or form, this is going to be significant. And I stored that memory, and I just have that memory of that. And so when people say, oh, well, he died in prison. No, he didn't.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
it was a false memory. No, it's not. I remember where I was at when it happened and everything.
Yeah.
Like it happened. He got out of prison.
Yeah. And again, I was, I remember going through my years of, elementary school and into high school and learning about what he was going through. And then when I was in college and schools were starting to divest again, their relationship with South Africa until he was released and all this stuff. I think, yeah. So this whole idea that, no, people thought he was dead. It's like, no, that never happened for me. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and stuff like that didn't really become popular until people started probing what you were kind of talking about earlier about the time travel. Are we able to create anomalies in the past that would then change our present? And because we're, conscious beings, is it possible that some of those memories have laid hard imprints on our brain and our neurons that we still remember the original way? But none of that is scientifically even factually correct. I mean, everything's just based on this huge assumption that what CERN's doing is altering the time in the past. I mean, why hasn't it changed the dinosaurs not being extinct? I mean, what's the limitation to how far we're changing information? Does it only change stuff that goes so far back that we have a recorded history of it? If so, that's pretty selective, and that would go to imply more that it's a figment of your imagination than an actual thing.
Yeah, and there's just the kind of the arrogance that it can't just be that people don't pay attention.
Yeah.
And that pop culture references kind of reinforce things that are false. When a comedian does Luke, I am your father or something, and that becomes funny, and it gets repeated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and that just becomes like a running line, and then that becomes what people that's just what happens. But I'm a nerd and I know what the actual line is, and always have.
But it just makes more sense to us that he would have said, Luke, I am your father. And that's why people just hold on to that, because it makes more logical sense to them. And maybe it is more logically, maybe it's just somebody made the illogical decision in the back to not have that line. Maybe nobody ever even presented him with the possibility of putting that line, or even that the line was possible. Mm-hmm. And he was already set and writing his script, and he just moved on. And then we all noticed that, hey, this could have been a better line later in life. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, another good one is Queen. We Are the Champion. When they're like, we are the champions, and then everybody goes, of the world. But they don't say that.
They do it in they do it in the earlier verses or something. But yeah, at the end, yeah.
So then everybody now, because everybody has built that that idea of those words should be there. Yeah. Now it becomes they were there, but the Mandela effect took them out.
Yeah. No, and personally, because I didn't know that was even a thing, of the whole Queen thing until I saw some video on it. I'm like, oh, really? People think that? But that's also a circumstance. When I heard that, I'm like, well, that's actually just a testament to the writing of that song.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like it resonated with people, the message on that, and so when you get to the end, and it was probably a calculated thing, is that you plant something and you plant something and you plant something, and then you only give part, and know if you've sold it if they finish it for you.
Yep.
If the people finish it for you, then you've done it. It's just it's like the magic of jingles and ad sales. It used to be. I remember when I was a kid, you could do this in like the auditoriums or something. You would say NESTLES, Nestle makes the very best, and you just have to stop, and everyone would go chocolate, because they had trained us that's just what it is. It was just a thing. For us, there's like Amco was like an insurance or something, you would say that's Amco, double A, and in your head you would hear burp, burp, MCO. And you, even if you just talk about it in your brain, you'll say double A, and you'll hear burp, MCO, because it's just, and so it's a testament to the way, you know, they crafted that song. They made us finish it for them. They made us a participant of that song. Doesn't mean that you know the universe was changed.
So in my recent video that I did, I kind of covered that a little bit about the the Mandela effect, because the guys were trying to tie quantum physics in with the Mandela effect, and I was like, no.
Which video was that? I didn't see that one. Which video was that one?
That's a video. His name is CC Life. He actually says that because there's no observer, we cannot have starlight from distant stars. Because there's great. A big yeah, exactly. Well, in the video I say, well, how close do you have to be the observer? I mean, does somebody literally have to have their eyeball on the star to see the light come off so that it manifests itself into a particle? I mean, who's responsible for that? You know, what person are we sending to the sun to do that for us?
Okay, so since there's no observer, the light doesn't exist. That's the thing. What's the claim?
No, the claim is that okay, when light is emitted, it's emitted in superposition. Okay, so superposition means that it follows the path of a probability wave, not necessarily the path of, you know, determination. So when you if you're not there to observe the according to the misunderstood observer effect, if you're not there to observe the light, then it will be in superposition until it gets here. And you can't guarantee that it's going to get here because it's in superposition. And the fact that a photon would be at your eye is only now a probability instead of like an actual event that happens. But the thing is that the observer effect is misunderstood because it's not really an observer. It's an ability to be observed. It's the ability to take information from the particle. And that can happen in many ways. So for instance, let's say you have a photon and it zooms right in front of your face. Well, if it doesn't bounce off anything, how do you ever know the photon was there? You would never see the photon because the photon never reflected into your eye. So it has to actually interact with a system for you to actually know that it was there, to receive information about it. The information, he's referring to the double slit experiment. In that experiment, the information is the which path information. Which path did the electron take, or which path did the photon take? If you know for certainty which path the photon took, you have a better understanding of where the probability wave function is going to result in the photon striking the detector, for instance. So if you don't have an observer there, he's saying you're always going to be in superposition, but that's not the case because the photon itself is not in superposition. It's constantly interacting with other quantum systems. So that in itself gives it an actual, he calls it a circumstance, but it actually manifests itself in a particle that is traveling in a line that's somewhat predictable. In other words, we don't need somebody fucking staring at the star for us to see it because it doesn't matter. Distance isn't going to matter. Size isn't going to matter.
If you don't look at it, it doesn't exist. Isn't that the way it works?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what that's literally the argument of the observer effect. Now, if you tying that to what we were just talking about in the simulation hypothesis, if you do believe that the simulation hypothesis is a actual construct of a computer program or something that's, you know, non-biological, that we're just assuming that everything is real when it's not really real, then yes, that aspect would work. If nobody's looking at a sun, it would make sense for the simulation to not actually, you know, put the sun out there because that would cause, you know, lag and processor power and stuff like that when it's insignificant because nobody's looking at it. And if you were the simulation, you would know that nobody's looking at it because everything exists within inside of you. But that's unfortunately that's not. And even if the sun wasn't there, let's say the sun's 8 minutes away, for 8 minutes nobody looks at the sun, and then someone looks at the sun. Well, the heat that's coming from those 8 minutes of not being displayed is still going to be there, because the simulation has to maintain the authenticity of reality.
Right.
You know, so that goes back to what you're saying. Even if this is a simulation, we must assume that the universe is real. We must assume that we can get positive information and make predictive predictions based on that information, even if it's all fake and being fed to us through a machine. As long as as long as we're processing that information and making accurate predictions based on that, then we're okay. Then we can assume it's whatever we want to assume it is.
Wow. I gotta watch that. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna watch that video.
Yeah, I try to break it down so that people understand what the misrepresentation of the observer effect is and how it actually works. Back to time travel. Now, time travel is an interesting one. People need to look at the
real quick. I want to say, hey, Young Blue, I see you in the room. Oh, hold on. Don't have you.
Young Blue, how you doing, young?
You
man?
there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How's it going, man?
It's okay. I just spent like half an hour trying to get in this.
Sorry, were we ignoring you, or was the system not working?
I don't know what the problem is. Every time I try to join, it'll just give me a message saying you are not allowed to join this call.
Yeah, hey, Blue, I'm thinking something's wrong with your Google account right now, because you did have that. I'm telling you, I went to your channel, it said this channel has no content. And I was like, what? Maybe they're about to monetize you. That would be awesome.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, you're here now. It's nice to have you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
You were starting to talk about time travel there, Father.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a and one of the people in the chat had brought this up when I first brought it up. There's couple of things. The quantum entanglement either says that particles can go backwards in time, or they can travel faster than the speed of light. Not particles, but quantum information. Okay, so basically, if you know this, let's say you don't know the spin of two entangled electrons. Well, if you don't know the spin for one, you don't know the spin for the other. If you receive the quantum information, back to the observer effect, if you design an experiment to take quantum information that gives you the spin value, of the electron, it automatically determines what the spin value of the other electron is, no matter how far away it is from it. So you can actually be on the other side of the known universe, and they will interact with each other instantaneously. So either they're traveling backwards in time to tell him, hey, look, when you get to this point, you need to have this spin, because we're going to measure spin up here. You need to go ahead and be spin down, or the information itself can travel faster than light. Now, that doesn't mean that we're violating any paradoxes, though, because you actually have to wait for the experiment to finish to be able to compare the results. So when you're trying to get information faster than the speed of light, or you're trying to get information that would give you an advantage backwards in time, for instance, we don't yet have any way of violating those paradoxes. The universe seems to be able to keep us from sending information faster than the speed of light that we can actually use, or being able to go backwards in time and be able to use anything that could possibly go backwards in time. A good experiment is called the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment. And this is an experiment that has been validated. It was most recently done. Well, I don't know when it was most recently done, but the main one, like the main first one, was done in 1996. So it's not like it's this 1920s experiment that a flat earther can say, oh, look, let me cherry pick all the information out of it and so show you how.
This is something. 20s is too recent.
Yes,
it's usually 18 something.
Exactly. So, or at 1996, I don't know when I said, but 1996 was when. But anyway, in this experiment, you basically you don't know which path the photons are taking or electrons are taking as they go through the double slits, and you set up a detector that actually registers, the state of the particle when it hits its detector in the future. I'm giving you a dumbed down version of this, but so they run the experiment and they've got one detector that's receiving information that's based on what the final state of the experiment is in. So, but you can't actually use the information you get before the experiment is over until the experiment ends, and you can compare the values and delineate what the results are. So even though it seems as though the quantum information can affect the entangled particles at the beginning of the experiment from the end of the experiment, we as humans don't have a way of understanding this process until the end of the experiment when we can compare the results.
Right.
So it keeps us from violating the time paradox, basically.
Awesome.
Which supports the the simulation hypothesis. And
right.
I mean, it looks more and more that science is going to start pointing towards a simulation hypothesis because it's gonna have the least number of assumptions. So if they follow Occam's razor, it's going to there's very minor and basic assumptions that you can make, but it explains a lot of things like Planck's constant, Avogadro's number, any constants that you find in science that don't really have reason or meaning. It just seems to be a construct of our universe. The reason why the speed of light is the speed of light, well, that's a construct of our universe. If our universe was born with different energy levels or different sizes or whatever the case may be, then the speed of light may have been different from the very beginning, unless the speed of light is actually dictated by a construct that's outside of the universe, which also supports either multi-dimensional universes or simulation hypothesis.
Yeah.
So it gets to the point where you start to kind of weed out a lot of explanations, and you take observational reality and you find that it's looking more and more like this is some kind of simulation.
Yeah. I tend to lean toward more of the multi-universal, multi-dimensional thing, just because my brain likes it more and feels more comfortable with
it. So are you a mini worlds person? Like, do you think there's another version of you somewhere out there? Because there must be, because it's infinitely large.
No, I'm not sold on that. I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of fun to speculate. But I'm more of a long time ago, and I don't know when I came up with this, and I had the idea of it was before I even took the physics classes for it, when I was first learning about black holes, and I thought, what if a black hole got so sucked in so much stuff that it blew out into another universe, and that was the Big Bang of a new universe.
Yeah.
And I just started, I remember just speculating on that when I was a, small child, not that small, but, and so I'm more of like that type of thing. It's not necessarily, this kind of parallel. I mean, that's all well and good, and it could possibly be true, but more of the laws of whatever universe, that you're in are kind of based on the information brought in from the universe before, or the whatever it was, the state that it was in. Yeah.
So do you think that there will be another version of you in the next universe, in the next cycle?
No, I don't think there will. I mean, I'm not saying it's not in the infinite possibilities. If you actually believe there's infinite possibilities, then there is. Then there is, and there will be. It's a certainty. But so no, I'm not. I don't think that's the case. That's not. I don't hold to that. So, but hey, I don't know everything, especially things that are basically unknowable.
Right. I think we're in a cyclical cycle, or a cyclical universe.
Cyclical cycle.
Yeah, that's circular reasoning for you. Real easy. No, I think we're in this cyclical universe that goes from it starts out as just this primordial energy that was the Hawking radiation of the previous universe. Like everything coalesced into a black hole that fizzled away over time, and the energy that it fizzles away out, and it goes into a infinite vast expanse of where all the energy of all the universes in the multiverse get their energy. And then through quantum fluctuations,
once the fluctuation happens, that there's a certain imbalance, and then boom,
and then there you go. It starts over again and just goes right back into its cycle. And I'm of the impression that life is almost going to be guaranteed in every form of every universe ever created. I think life has the propensity to start everywhere until the place where it's trying to start is too toxic for it to take hold, like Venus or Pluto or somewhere, the sun. You know, if the sun was
how do you know there's no life on Venus? How do you know that?
No. I'm not saying there's no life. I'm saying like there could be. You're absolutely right. There could be extreme forms of life anywhere. You know, even in the sun. We don't know for sure that there's no life. When I discuss life, I'm talking more about the life that we understand. We would not be able to survive on Venus without, you know, I guess probably at least evolving there so that we were built
that's
for
right.
that. But and that's why I think when we get out of this earth and we start actually exploring other places, I think we're going to find that life is actually plentiful around
more abundant,
the universe. I really think so.
And
water is becoming way more.
What life is, and we start. I mean, we have so many different life forms on this planet right now, and I'm not just talking about like different species, but in terms of you have our kind of multicellular life, and you have your viral, and you have your bacteria, which are really just kind of something else altogether, and then you have your prions type of stuff, and then you have all sorts of things that are just fundamentally different forms of life. And so we've kind of had to redefine what life is, as we've, first it was like, life is like us, just less life. And people would, and I've had someone last night I was having a conversation with, kind of considered plants non-life. It's like when you have, there's no connection between like non-living things like plants and and like us. And it's like, what, non-living, but there was this idea that, there's our kind of life, and then as we learn more and more and more, it's like, oh, okay, you don't have to have a certain type of cell structure to be considered life. There's still life going on there. Oh, well, wait a minute, you don't have to have that to be life. There's still life there. So yeah, when we go out and we get more information and we explore more things, our definition of life is going to change. Because we'll see things happening, and I think we'll find it'll be different, and it may not be compatible. And it may be, very toxic, but we might find that life is much more abundant. It just may not be our form of life.
Yeah.
So I have no issue with the cyclical idea. I just wasn't sure when you first mentioned it. I wasn't sure if because there are people who think like then the universe starts over and it's kept the same universe again type of thing. So then everything repeats, as opposed to being just a new universe, based on the kind of the detritus of the previous universe. And I take no issue with that. It's just a different version of like my speculation when I was younger of black holes, kind of point where they become imbalanced and kind of leak out into another universe through their own mini big bangs. I got no issue with that. And the thing is, what sadly is the universe, may have erased so much of the information that we won't be able to truly tell.
Yeah,
it's the way it goes. Doesn't mean we shouldn't keep trying though.
No, absolutely not. I think if there's anything worth advancing, it's that idea, so that we can just understand what, when people want to know what their true purpose is. How do you know what your true purpose is when you don't even know where you truly came from? If you know that you truly came from this quantum fluctuation, and your true purpose is to enjoy every moment you've been blessed with, because you shouldn't be here, all over the place we see, you would not exist because it's deadly to you. So be happy that you're here, and that your purpose in life is to live every moment and be thankful that you're there.
Yeah, it's funny. I was kind of talking to someone last night who's a very different, he's a very spiritual person, and this whole idea that our understandings of science and the vastness of the universe, and the fact that the universe is so dispassionate to us, uh, uh, is something in his mind that is makes us feel small and insignificant, and it's something he doesn't like, because it kind of diminishes us as people and as individuals, and means we takes away our meaning, and which is why he's more spiritual and likes to have a spiritual purpose for things and a creator. And that's all well and good for him. But from I'm kind of just the opposite when I think about the fact that the universe does not care about us. Meteor, we could be wiped out by a meteor any second, or a freaking forest fire the way it is here in California. The fact that there's so much in the universe that is working against us as life form, that the universe is so toxic to us, that it is so difficult for life to get to the point where we are right now, makes me feel awesome. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, we're thriving to whatever degree, even though we may not think we're doing well, in an environment that is so incredibly toxic to us, that so many species have not gotten to this point. The graveyard of failed species is overflowing, and so for me, it's like, no, the more we learn about the universe, and the more unique, and deadly the universe is to us, the better. The more I feel kind of emboldened to learn more, to live more, and to enjoy the fact of our existence.
Yeah, because like with the dinosaurs, like we could have been erased a long time ago, because when the dinosaurs went extinct, whatever life that was then that didn't get wiped out eventually evolved into what we are today. So maybe that could happen again. Maybe we are the dinosaurs of this world, and we could just get wiped out, and whatever is left behind could evolve into something else.
Yeah.
You gotta get off this damn planet. Gotta spread ourselves out.
That's right. We do.
Like a moving target. Serpentine, move around.
So my newest little question I pose to Christians, now I don't know, maybe I brought this up before with you. I don't know if I have or not, but I bring this up to them. I say, look, if, according to the Bible, Christians are supposed to spread the faith, all of the religions want their people to speak of and spread the faith, the words of their God. So if we were to go to another planet, would we be obligated to spread the word of, or not we, but would Christians be obligated to spread the word of God to the inhabitants of that planet when Jesus never went to that planet? Jesus never sacrificed them for anybody on there. Could they not even sin? I mean, are they not even capable of sinning, because the Bible defines sin as man's sin?
That's a good question for them.
Yeah, for them, and not for me. It would spread science. Go there and say, oh yeah, by the way, that big thing you're worshiping as a being up there, no, that's a ball of gas that's going through nuclear fusion, and here is the science behind why it's doing that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it might be one of the better ways of communicating with people that are based on, like, observable things that we can agree upon. That's like, that's over there is is moving at this rate. You agree with that? Oh, that's what those words mean. Oh, that's what. Okay, so now we can start building a language by communicating through the scientific principles on those things that we can understand. But yeah, that's all. That's a question. But I have I have religious friends who think if anything like that happens, they already have things in their head about how there are demons who will look like alien beings, or it's so there will be a way of communicating, because they'll all be kind of within the understanding, or they'll be able to translate something from the Bible that would fit the scenario. Don't worry, they'll figure out something.
I was about to say, isn't it amazing how they always have answers for everything? Oh, what if we find alien life? Well, that's just a form of the devil. It says so in the Bible.
Yeah. Anybody here seen Book of Mormon?
The musical?
The musical.
Haven't seen it.
Freaking one. It is. I've seen it a few times. It just came. It was just here about 6 months ago.
It's worth watching.
Oh, it is very much worth watching. It's it's by the makers of South Park.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's both incredibly respectful of religion at the same time being but brutally honest about it. But one thing they do, the thing is, the Mormon missionaries go to this African country. I can't remember, Uganda. They go to Uganda, and they're young and they're naive missionaries, and they need to translate the Bible into something that these people understand because they've never encountered it, and obviously, God and Jesus were never there and never touched on them, and one takes kind of the high road and tries to do it all, the classic way, and they just don't buy it. And the other one, who's just this flaky, fantasy prone guy, and isn't really well versed in the Bible or the Book of Mormon, starts integrating pop culture stuff into his stories because he can tell those better and it will fit their scenario. And so instead of just telling regular straight Bible stories, he brings in the Hobbit and how the journeys that they went through to do the things they do in order to tie it into these people's experience. And it's just like, yeah, that's what you do. When you go someplace and your stuff doesn't work, you just start to make up stuff to turn what you want into something that they'll buy. And then once they buy it, you're fine. You can work on that later. And so it's a really scathing indictment of missionary work, and it's hilarious, but it's also really smartly done. But that's what they do. It's a really good example of having to manipulate your classic ideas to fit people that are not accepting of it because it's not in their experience, and it's really well done. And it's just foul. It is just it is so wrong in terms of the language used and yeah.
I'm gonna have to check it out next time it comes in. I didn't realize it was that good.
It's brilliant. It's freaking brilliant.
Yes. Anon says to check the Discord, and it's in 3 hours on the stream.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to probably sum this up in about 10 minutes. Thank you very much, Anon, for keeping me. Well, it's 3. I got stuff to do. I need to actually go to the studio, and I have a belt test in a few weeks, and so I need to get my act together, get some training done.
You do realize that you're not allowed to have a life, GreaterSapien. You watch YouTube. I don't know where you thought you were going to get away with just leaving on us, but no.
Where's my Discord, man? I have so many windows open. How's my Discord?
Hey, I do want to shout out somebody in the chat. Sean Hufford's out there in the chat. What's up, Big Sean? And you guys, we were talking about crepuscular rays earlier, and he has an amazing video. So anybody that wants to learn more about crepuscular rays and why they do not conform to a flat Earth, please go check his channel out and check that video out. It's a good video.
Excellent. Well, someone's getting what is that rhythmic popping sound? Somebody's mic is
I think it's critical because I just muted mine and I still hear it too.
Let's see. Yep.
All right, sorry if it
has
was
a
me.
little thing going on there. Cool. Yeah. Any last questions? Let's sum this up, and feel free to questions to anybody in the room. Did I just mute Young Blue? No.
He mutes himself regularly.
Make sure I didn't accidentally do that. Okay, cool. All righty. Young Blue, what are you working on?
I'm going to do a collab with someone for 2,000 subscribers, but I don't know who.
Okay, excellent. How far away are you from 2,000 right now?
I think I've got 1,950 something.
All right, there's got to be at least 40 of you guys out there that haven't subscribed to Young Blue Skeptic right now. Please, for me, and I think I speak for GreaterSapien here, for me and GreaterSapien, go subscribe to Young Blue Skeptic. He's an amazing creator, and he's a young guy. He represents our future. We need to promote more people like this, guys. Come on now.
40 more. Let's do this.
That's nothing.
Yeah,
There's
Oh God,
hundreds
we
of
already
people here.
have 1,988.
Yeah, we can
There
get
you go.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But yeah, anybody in the room that's not already, hop on there. Of course, that means you have to produce a video now
Yeah.
for the 2,000. Go, go, go. Or you
Yeah, when I
snippet this conversation right here.
I don't think he's going to get it done in time.
Yeah, I know you're going too
Yeah,
quickly.
because I don't have anyone to make a video with.
So just start recording right now. Hey, everybody, this is GreaterSapien for Young Blue Skeptic. Congratulations on getting your 2,000 subscriber. And I have some other people in the room here right now. I have Father Skeptic of Team Skeptics. He has a few nice words to say about Young Blue as well.
Yes, Young Blue Skeptic is an amazing content creator, and he should definitely be followed by you and every one of your friends. Be sure to share his videos. Put a like, put a thumbs up on that video, and subscribe to his channel. He's an amazing kid, man. Again, he represents our future, and we should be supporting more kids like this.
There you go. There's your video.
And I should say myself too, congratulations on the 2,000 subscribers. It's wonderful to see a young person with so much intelligence and courage to go and tackle the adults in this game. I'm not saying that you are not an adult. Just put that there.
You'll learn real quick, Young Blue, while you're a youngster. Sweep the leg, okay? Sweep the leg. So the bigger guy, just take him down to the ground and then get away.
This is true. This is true. No, you're doing great work out there. I wish I had access to the type of platform that you have now, with the level of creativity that you have, your technical knowledge, and your forthrightness and willingness to go straight to the jugular on things. You're going to be able to develop a lot more content and actually make a greater long-term difference than any of us can hope to. So good on you. Congratulations on 2,000 subscribers, and look forward to more stuff from you.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, GreaterSapien, and thanks, Team Skeptic, and thanks, Critical Think.
Yeah, so
Of course.
after this is done,
Welcome.
we'll sneak up and go and just grab this and and upload it for 2,000. Father Skeptic, do you have any swag?
You know what? I'm actually I'm in the process of getting it printed up because we're doing some high quality hats, and I'm about to have some really nice shirts that say "You're an idiot." So that's my catchphrase, and everybody loves it. So I'm making hats for it, and the quality of the hats, like I already my apparel sponsor is a really high quality company. So they're going to be putting out some really nice stuff, and it's not going to cost a lot either. So, but when I do have this stuff, I'll definitely be sending you some. Young Blue, if you want a hat, I'll send you a hat. And, you know, that's what I'm coming out with first is a hat, and second will be a shirt. But, yeah, we're talking about maybe a week or 2 weeks away before it all gets printed up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my thought was if you did, send something Young Blue's way. Young Blue, I need to send you another coupon code because I don't think the one I gave you expired. So I'll send you another code so you can order yourself a shirt without having to cost anything. Or you just send me information, off to the side. I'll get one out to you.
Yeah, I plan on getting it for Christmas or my birthday or something.
Okay, so I'll give you a code that doesn't expire so that you can use it anytime. So it'll take care of your both shipping and basic and the cost of it. So it'll be free to you. I'm gonna go offline for a second because I have to stop a cat from doing something really stupid. Hold on a second.
Okay,
Yeah, man,
guys, now's your chance.
Yeah, that's really awesome, Young Blue, that you're already at 2K, man. That's freaking amazing, dude. So congratulations to you, man, for real.
Thanks.
All right.
Well, it's really to you guys that I'm actually here in the first place.
No, it's not. Don't ever think that. If you didn't, weren't a good content creator, people would see you on here and they would just walk right by your channel, not even stop to say, "Oh, let me see what he does in the future." Just being associated with GreaterSapien or someone like myself is not going to push you further and further down YouTube. It'll help, just like one day me being associated with you will help my channel.
Like, yep, I'm waiting for those coattails, man. I'm like, hey,
right.
remember me?
Be like, I'm the one that was talking Young Blue Skeptic first when he was Blue Marble. Y'all don't even know Blue Marble. I do.
Y'all weren't there. Yeah, man. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know.
And to be honest with you, it feels really great to be associated with people like you guys. I mean, that helps my channel out. Just like Blue was saying, it helps my channel out to know that for people to see that I'm associated with you, GreaterSapien, and even you, Young Blue, Incredible Think. Hopefully, one day we can be considered somebody who conspires together, like you were talking about the conspiracy. We conspire to do science together.
Oh yeah, like I said, me, critical thinking. We're conspiring right now, man. We're going to conspire for something real good. It'll be fun. No, it's great. And and I'm all for this kind of cross pollination, cross promoting type of stuff. As far as I'm concerned, I'm here to promote not critical think, but critical thinking, and anything that does that is toward my goal. And if that means telling people, hey, Young Blue just made a video, go see it. Hey, Father Skeptic's got something good, go see it. And fine. That's no skin off my nose. It's bringing the rising tide, raises all boats as far as I'm concerned. So I'm all for cross promotion and supporting each other here. I think that's what we need to do more and more, especially since we're actually on the side of facts.
Yeah.
Because on the other side, I mean, you see collaborations going on all the time. A lot of cross support going on. Instant likes happening. People promote their stuff. They just run out and they make sure everyone sees it. They make sure they pump it up. Even they don't even watch the video. You can see the number of likes and comments pop up within minutes when it's a 25-minute video.
Oh yeah.
Wait a minute, how's it got so many comments and likes? No one's watched this thing yet, but they're all for that. They got their community thing down. And
people want to you to check the Discord for questions, GreaterSapien.
Okay, we'll do one more quick pass on that. Let's see. Is Anne posting for us? Let's see. I'll just send this out to the room. Let's see. Quantum entanglement. No, that's 20 questions. 20 questions above that I haven't seen. I actually went through a number of these guys. Let's check the question section. Anon, let me know if the post some more out here. Say hi to people in the room while I'm looking here.
What was the quantum entanglement question?
Let's see. Where did I see the quantum entanglement? There's a bunch here. Oh, I don't know about this one. Any truth to the rumor that a reality show is in the works where a flat earther hunt for the edge of the earth? Anybody know anything about that?
I hope so. That'll make for some good idiot videos, especially if it's on like mainstream TV or something.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there. A lot of comments. Any other up-and-coming conspiracies building traction like the Effie did a few years ago? Do any of you guys see any up-and-coming conspiracies building traction like Globe Denial has?
No, I've actually been trying to look for it too, man. I've been trying to find something else to talk about other than flat Earth. It's starting to really bore me because it's all the same exact questions, same exact answers. So
Yeah.
I've been looking for stuff to just kind of throw in there with the mix, I guess, and I can't find anything. I mean, I don't know, other than Donald Trump's a lizard, I guess.
So here's the quantum entanglement. So per the conversation on quantum entanglement, couldn't it be manipulated for instant communication, say with humans on Mars? So that would be like the what was it? Ender's Game type of. Was it?
Yeah,
Connected.
that's more of that's crazy because I actually think of stuff like that, like when they're talking about subspace communication in television shows like Star Trek and Star Wars. That's really what they're kind of going off of, is the subspace exists outside of space-time, so it can be traversed, with no time, no real time, I guess, taking place in reality. It's taking time for the information to get there, but the information is traveling through a different dimension that we don't have a concept of time for. So could it be possible in the future? Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's still an understanding of quantum mechanics that we're going to have to attain that allows us to be able to make use of the quantum information without having to have what is called a coincidence counter, which is where you can determine, that your results are actually positive results. So we have to still come up with some way of doing that, which seems to be where we reach our paradoxes at. So until we learn how to manipulate subspace, or what is considered subspace, even if that exists. I mean, who knows if that exists? We have to assume that now, at that point, we have to make an assumption that space-time exists within some other form of space-time. That's another dimension, which is hard for us to even conceptualize in our mind. But yes, I do think one day it could be possible.
Yeah, I believe it was Orson Scott Card's Ender's series that had, I think, the NSEM system or something like that was supposedly based on quantum entanglement. It was a instantaneous communication system because everything was like tied to a central hub that communicated with each other. Let's see. Oh yeah, I've heard this one. Have you heard about this deep fakes software that can manipulate people's lips and voice in videos to make it look like people are saying stuff they've never said? Have any of you seen anything on that?
I haven't seen anything on that, but that's something I think would be in the realm of our technology.
There's a video. There's a video. I think it's got Obama, and it's being done by Jordan Peele using it, and basically it uses kind of facial recognition to map. It's like a mapping the person's facial movements, and it's then so the person's talking, and it manipulates the video, the photography, and so the video's doing what it normally does, except for the face is being manipulated to imitate the person who's doing it, doing the actual talking. And so it's not perfect. It's pretty darn good. But so it's Jordan Peele doing his Obama impersonation, and so he's having Obama say things that are he just would not say. And it's just that level of, it's like Photoshop for video, but it's live, face recognition stuff, and it's called deep fakes. And it is pretty scary stuff. There's a good chance that there's going to be a time within our lifetime where saying, well, we have it on video isn't going to be good enough.
Yeah.
It's just done that way. And then of course there's like the Photoshop for audio that's being put together. That is this way of just kind of manipulating audio to generate words that just weren't said from samples of people's voices, which is, again, another thing that's kind of scary. It's like, oh, we just have this sentence of this person making this speech, and now we can just take that and just type in the words we want, and it will sample it and put together this new sentence for us, using the first syllable of that word and the last syllable of that word to make this word over here. And this is called the Photoshop of sound. And of course, Adobe's doing it, and they're saying they're going to put digital fingerprints in it and things like that, so that you'll be able to tell the difference between, they'll be able to like look into the waveforms to be able to find out, if it was done real or not. But that's still some powerful stuff. If you have the ability to fake video, especially of politicians, people of power, your spouse or what, all sorts of things you can do. And then you can also manipulate the actual audio based on their actual voice as opposed to someone else just imitating it. That's some powerful stuff. So
do you remember a movie from the late 80s? And I don't remember what the movie was called, but it was a movie that was based around a car dealership, and a woman was doing a commercial for the car dealership, and they took her commercial and cut it at the studio and put it in there so that it said something else in the commercial, and she would be required to honor that deal or whatever.
I know the movie you're talking about.
It's like she said miles and miles of cars.
It wasn't a woman. It was a guy. It was Kurt Russell. He just had big wavy hair.
Oh yeah. You're right. And then they all had to drive their cars and park them in lines to form the miles and miles of cars.
It's called like used cars or something like that.
But it's crazy that was what photoshopping and editing and all that was what that was back in the day.
And he said something like, we have smiles of something and for you, and they edited. So he said, we have miles of cars or whatever. And so he had to prove that he had miles of cars. And the end of it was they came up like 5 inches short or something. And the guy pounded his hand on the hood of the car, and then the license plate fell down and gave him like the extra few inches.
Yeah, it was movies back then were awesome.
My brain is
like that.
a trap for these type of things. Yeah, that was Kurt Russell. Big feathery 80s hair though. But yes, and then there was a movie called Looker. Way back in the day, which was all about photo manipulation. It was about manipulation, and then also they took it to the level of plastic surgery to make people look, certain ways. But it was all about, manipulating images in order to convey messages and stuff. It was and now we're doing it. Hey,
yep.
Let's see.
Now a 14-year-old can do it at home.
Yeah, seriously. It's freaking magic. It's awesome. Deep fakes. How often flat earthers are willing to discuss religious beliefs that play into their viewpoint? How often are flat earthers? All depends. It doesn't come up a lot. But usually, they'll strictly talk about. They'll try to at least I've noticed people I've talked to, they'll try to stick to the science, but so either a flat earther is like overt about the religious aspect of it with me. They'll just come straight out of the box and go, the Bible says this, blah 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 blah, or they'll try to stick with the science as much as possible until it's not working, and then they'll start to hint little things like they'll say something like, well, Scripture says, and I'm like, oh. Many there are people who, like, if you refer to the Bible as Scripture, then it's beyond just like something written. It's you've elevated it to a particular authority. If you say, even cultures that didn't have the technology, like even in the Bible they talk about such and such. That's one thing. But if you say, but Scripture says, it's like, that's different. That means that you've given it a certain amount of authority and a spiritual angle that is not just the words that it said, because it's all culture.
Yes. It's now your interpretation.
Yeah. I think oftentimes they try to stay away from it in direct discussions because they feel you'll dismiss them, and they're right. So they try to stay away from it.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Guys, we talk about Michelson Morley. I don't know how to pronounce it, but there are a lot of floodies that are fans of Michelson Morley, saying that it proves the Earth doesn't rotate. They don't understand the experiment. What do you got to say about that?
I don't think I have time to talk about that. It's been 3 hours and 20 minutes.
The simplest and easiest explanation to explain is that they were testing for something that was untestable, because either it doesn't exist or it plays no role in our daily, in our physics. Even Einstein had an ether constant that was in much of his earlier equations that he eventually took out because it was unnecessary. It made no difference in the measurements or the predictions that were being made. And Michelson Morley weren't flat earthers. They weren't testing for flat earth. And the number they got was 10 kilometers per second, which is not zero. So that's actually really fast.
There you go. That's not too bad. Anon just mentioned that a lot of deep fake, that whole that video manipulation, is being used for porn right now. There's a lot of people who are being having their images fed into porn, without their consent. They're finding out, like, oh, I'm a star of a porn movie, and that's not me. I've never been there before in my, I don't even know these people. Somehow someone got a hold of my Instagram, got all sorts of, pictures of me at different angles, and then fed it into the system and end up being used as porn. So that's, of course, porn drives a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I see that differently than they do, because I'm like, oh shit, I could be a porn star with the download of an app, like a really famous porn star. Awesome, that's about to happen.
Yes, but you're not a 27-year-old woman who's trying to actually be a business.
Yeah, right. I'm not
trying to actually have a respectable business. But yeah, that drives a lot. But eventually, it's going to get into blackmailing politicians. It's going to get into some serious stuff, and it's going to be it'll be interesting to where that goes. Let's see. I thought I saw one other thing in there that I wanted to see before. I know there's a few questions I missed, and what happens is when I miss questions in the Discord or I miss questions in this chat, I get hit up next week by people who said, "You ran from me. You like, yeah, whatever, people." Yeah. But yeah, that's just what happens. But it's been over 3 hours, and I have.
Maybe on the next one you should have them have Anne try to. It would have to be with the question asker, but have them actually identify whether they're a flat earther or not. That way you can address the more serious questions that people are having, in case they actually want to know what the science is, or what the scientific consensus says about a certain observation or concept. So I think that would be a good idea. So that way you can at least make sure you get to those questions.
Oh, yeah, that is a good idea. Thank you very much for that suggestion. So I'm going to do a quick round of in the room. Anybody have some exit statements before we go? Let's start with Young Blue's gone. Okay. What's any last words, Critical Think?
Well, thank you very much for having me on this morning. This is my first time. I know it's not morning for you, but this is my first time doing one of these things. So it's been an honor and a privilege, and hope I can talk to you again. I will. I know.
Yeah. We got it. We got our thing. We'll talk to you soon. We'll get some stuff done. That'll be great. Yeah. Thank you very much. I didn't know this was your first time, so thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Father?
Yeah, I just want to say, man, thanks a lot for having me on, bro. I love coming on here. This actually happens to be an anomaly for me, because when you do your Sunday mornings, I'm never in the chat because I'm dead asleep. Yeah. But last night I was so bored with the boring flat earth stuff I was working on that I actually went to bed at a reasonable time and was able to make the live stream. So thank you for having me on.
Oh, your boredom is to our benefit.
Yes. This was way more exciting than working on a flat earth video for 3 hours. I guarantee you that. That puts me to sleep. They're so boring. They're so stupid. Like, I'm like, oh, did you really just say that? This guy in the last video really just said that when the sun leaves your perspective, that's where the new time zone starts. Do you understand that means on the equinox there's only 2 time zones, dark and light? Jesus.
Yeah, it's kind of crazifying. So on that note, I will be. I'm going to be making a little bit more content, things like that. Just reactions to things on live streams. I do watch a few, and they're not. My reactions aren't tangential enough that I want to make like a full blown out, video about it, but I kind of want to rant about it a little bit. And so that will segue into my little bit of self-promotion here, because I have started a Patreon page. I'm going to mute critical think. I think, yeah, there you go. I have started a Patreon page here where people can join. It'd be great. You'll be getting extra content from me. Things like more reaction videos, little things that I won't be making full-blown videos out of, just because there won't be necessarily as much production about it. I might just be doing more like a few times a week video blog on these type of things. You will be getting videos, access to videos before everybody else. I'm editing one now. Hopefully it'll be done today. I will make it available on Patreon first, and then either tomorrow or Tuesday it'll go live on YouTube. And you'll get some behind the scenes stuff. I'm going to be doing more of my videos of me actually executing artwork and things like that, so people can kind of see what I do for fun more than the stuff I put up on YouTube. So patreon.com/GreaterSapien is me, and feel free to go there if you're looking for more content, looking to support what I do here. You'll have that avenue as well as YouTube. So that was something I came up with the urging of Father Skeptic over there. He convinced me to do this thing, and it's going to be fun. I'm actually looking forward to having more avenues of doing different types of content that aren't just the standard YouTube fare.
See,
So,
I think with the type of content you put out, this is a good idea, because the people who join your Patreon and become patrons of this channel, they're actually going to get something of value back. They get the not just the pleasure of being able to interact and support you, but they also get that benefit of being able to watch the video first before anybody else has a chance. They get just so many opportunities with Patreon that other channels that are just like goofball channels, there's no real benefit to being their patrons. But with you, it's the value that you're getting back. It's super. It exceeds the amount that you're putting in, for sure.
oh, thank you very much, sir. So yeah, with that, I'm going to sign off. It's been 3 hours and almost 3 hours and 30 minutes. I want to thank my guests who are on Critical Think, Young Blue Skeptic, and Father Skeptic, aka Team Skeptic, for soldiering through this the last hour or so of this. It's always great to have you guys on. The questions you guys gave were excellent. Thank you very much for the content. And thank you very much for your great moderation and your patience with my distractibility. It's much appreciated. Once again, everybody, please do what you can to enjoy your day. If you can go out today and learn something new, help someone else learn something new, and enjoy yourself, you will have a much better life. And remember to think critically. Take care.
Bye-bye.